You felt it your entire life. That there's something wrong with the world. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You can feel it.
Get up on out the bed and start to move your balls. Let's wake up a word in Solomon Jones. Word. You better wake up now.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM, WURD. And I want to welcome you to another edition of Wake Up with Word. And I got to say thank you to Kawesa. I got to give you a shout out this morning. There's a K-cup sitting here on the counter waiting for me. I appreciate that, Kawesa. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You know I can't function on this show. Like, yo, where my coffee at? So I appreciate that, and thank you so much. Just a whole lot going on, I think, over the course of this weekend. Some surprising stuff, some stuff that's unique to our community that we just kind of need to talk about. But there is something that happened on the international stage that really, I think, illustrates where we are as a country. Here's how corrupt we have become in this country. The crew of the U.S. Air Force C-17 stayed at President Donald Trump's golf resort in Turnberry, Scotland during a March refueling stop en route to Kuwait. This means that our tax dollars went straight into Donald Trump's pocket through military spending that's supposed to be protecting us. Now, if that was it and this was a one-time thing, it would be bad enough. But the Air Force said the stop was, quote, not unusual. See, this is just another example of Trump's company earning money from taxpayer dollars, and according to CNN, some government watchdogs are arguing that the arrangement breaches ethical norms and potentially violates a clause of the U.S. Constitution. An Air Force general went so far as to say this, that the crew made reservations through the defense travel system and used the closest available and least expensive accommodations to the airfield within the crew's allowable hotel rates. While we're still reviewing the trip records, we found nothing that falls outside the guidelines. Well, you know what? It's time to change the guidelines. It's time to stand up for what's right. It's time to make the president abide by the same ethical standards that everybody else in government has to. There are former government officials who are in jail right now for accepting gifts, accepting bribes, misappropriating funds, and doing things that were against ethical standards. Trump should be no different, because if we're actually going to be a country of laws, then no one should be above the law, not even the president. We got a hot show for you today on Wake Up with Word. Lawyer and critical race theorist Dr. Tim Golden on the N-word. Jermaine Rowley, Ian Round, and Jasmine Connor of the University of Maryland on how climate change impacts the poor. Lanier Ahmad Lett on the lack of diversity in the medical field. And as always, we've got you, our listeners, calling in at 215-634-8065 or toll free 1-866-361-0900. Hit us on Twitter and Instagram at onWURD, or you can hit me personally at Solomon Jones 1. Watch us on Facebook at forward. But first, it's the big three, the news stories you need to know to kick off your day right here on Wake Up with Word. Story number one. The N-word. That's right. In an opinion piece in the New York Times, novelist Walter Mosley wrote about a short-lived, racially charged stint as a writer on Star Trek Discovery, revealing how he was chastised by human resources staffers for using the N-word on the job. So, Walter Mosley, of course, 67 years old. He is African-American, also identifies as Jewish. But he said, look, you know, I had just finished with the Snowfall Writers Room for the season when I took a similar job on a different show at a different network. I'd been in the new room for a few weeks when I got the call from Human Resources. A pleasant-sounding young man said, Mr. Mosley, it's been reported that you used the N-word in the writer's room. I replied, I am the N-word in the writer's room. He had told a story about this cop who said he stops black people in Irish neighborhoods and stops Irish people in black neighborhoods because neither one of them is up to any good. And so the cop, when he told the story, used the N-word. Mosley used the N-word as well, offending his white colleagues. Kawesa, what do you think?
Well, you know I don't like the N-word.
I don't like it either.
I really don't. But I also feel that sometimes when we are relaying true stories, things that have really happened, sometimes it's necessary. I don't know if people remember Huckleberry Finn, where they have a new edition out now where they remove the N-word. They didn't want, that in there. And so I think that sometimes it's necessary as a part of history because we don't want to forget that. We need for people to remember and understand that this is where we're coming from. I don't think you should have probably been using it in the writer's room with people, but I don't necessarily see there being that big of an issue with
I've
it.
met Walter Mosley. Walter Mosley is very witty, very personable, very funny. You could listen to him tell stories all day. Like, he's that kind of guy, right? And so, I probably would not have used the N-word in that room. I don't like to use it at all.
Yeah.
But if there is an occasion where I use it, it's in front of people that I know.
Right.
And not people that I really don't know. Definitely not coworkers, right? Definitely not in a workspace. And so I want to know what you think. I want to know what you think about this particular story because ultimately Walter Mosley ended up leaving that job, leaving that show over his use of the N-word. I want to know what you think about that. Story number 2, President Donald Trump will deliver remarks at the 2019 National Historically Black Colleges and Universities Conference on Tuesday, September 10th. I'm going to stop right there. What? Why you got him speaking to black people? I thought we lived in crime-riddled, rat-infested communities. I thought we came from countries that were crap holes. I thought that those of us in leadership need to go back where we came from. I thought that Donald Trump had a problem with black people. So why are you inviting him to speak at an HBCU conference? Somebody get me whoever's in charge on the phone right now. Kawesa, you went to an HBCU.
I did.
What's up with your people?
I don't know. When I saw this, I cringed. I was like, really? Like, I was so mad. And I even put it on my Facebook. I was like, I'm so tired of these shucking, jiving Negroes out here doing all this. And it bothers me to my core. And really, you know what? Fellow HBCUers, I would like for us to kind of get together and really start figuring out, like, who is responsible for this? Because I feel like if our schools are responsible for it, we might need to kind of come at our schools and be like, hey, we're going to not, we're going to close up our purse strings a little bit if y'all going to have him at this function. And so I have feelers out. I'm trying to figure out if Hampton is a part of it because it's disturbing on so many levels.
It's disturbing to me, and I didn't even go to an HBCU. It's disturbing to me as a black person. I'm disturbed by the fact that anybody would think that it's okay to have this dude come and speak at the HBCUs. Why are you giving him a platform to do that? It reminds me of the preachers that came and met with him and then came back and met with him again. It reminds me of Kanye West, this fool going to dye his hair blonde and stand next to blonde Donald Trump. Talk about, oh, Donald Trump, okay. Fool, you ain't even vote. Sit down and shut up. It reminds me of all of the people who came and sold out at the feet of Donald Trump. Kawesa, we got to come get our people, man.
We do. We really do.
We got to come get them because that don't make no sense. Story number 3. On Tuesday, that's right, tomorrow, Philadelphia City Council will hold a hearing on the racist and otherwise offensive items posted on Facebook by 328 Philadelphia police officers, and that will happen because the people demanded it. Way back in July, when I called Philadelphians to gather at police headquarters after we learned that the people we pay to protect and serve were posting racist material on Facebook, I saw a few familiar faces in the crowd. One of them stuck out, not because of anything he said, but because of what he didn't say. That face was Derek Green, an at-large member of City Council, who I've known since the two of us worked as legislative aides many years ago. The councilman was in the crowd standing among the hundreds of people who were outraged to know that police officers were calling black people animals, endorsing police brutality, calling for protesters to be hurt, and pushing for violence against Muslims. He wasn't trying to push his way to the front. He wasn't trying to be seen. He wasn't asking to speak. He was simply there. Later, I asked him why he felt it was important to be there that day, and he said it's because he's a black man with a black son who could very well be a victim of the officers who posted those things on Facebook. He talked about his son's unique challenges and the worries he has as a father each time his son goes out the door. That rang true for me because I too am a black man with a black son and black daughters. And it hurts to know that there are those who see our black skin as a threat. Knowing that is what made me lead that protest. It's what made me meet with the mayor. It's what's going to make me meet with the mayor again. It's what made me demand that city council stand with the people on this issue. And it's what made Councilman Derek Green write the resolution that made tomorrow's hearings possible. We might not be able to solve every problem. We might not be able to change every heart, but they will hear us when we say we won't be targeted. They will hear us when we say we won't be silent. They will hear us when we say we won't go back. They will hear us when we say there will be change. So thank you, Councilman Green, and everybody who signed on to that resolution for standing up. And tomorrow, when we go into that hearing, we will be demanding that all of your colleagues on city council stand up too. I want to hear from you. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. We're talking about a number of things on today's show, including Walter Mosley. Walter Mosley, of course, wrote Devil in a Blue Dress, other novels that became movies, always outnumbered, always outgunned. Like Walter Mosley, a very accomplished novelist. He is a black man, a proud black man, and he's a great storyteller. I remember going to see Walter Mosley, and he was just telling these funny stories, man, and he's that type of guy, right? And so I can imagine him in this writer's room on the show Star Trek Discovery. It's a streaming show, so it's online. It doesn't come on television, but it streams on an all-access channel. And he's in the writer's room. So on these shows, you have a number of people who write the show. It's not everybody writes the show. So all of them get together in a room and they write the show. So he's in this room and he's telling a story about this cop in L.A. who was a racist who said, I stop all N-words when they come in white neighborhoods and I stop white people in black neighborhoods because neither one of them can be up to any good, right? So he's telling this story. One of his white colleagues, because apparently he's the black person in the room, one of his white colleagues is offended that he's using this word. They go to Human Resources and tell on him. So the guy from Human Resources calls and says, Mr. Mosley, we understand you were using the N-word in the writer's room. And Walter Mosley, in his characteristic style, says, I am the N-word in the writer's room. And so eventually he leaves that writer's room, leaves that job. And I don't know, I know I wouldn't be at work using the N-word, right? I wouldn't do it. Unless it was some extraordinary circumstance where that was the only word that could be used to explain what was happening or to talk about a particular subject, right? I'm not going to be at work doing that. Walter Mosley is a different type of cat, right? He's telling his story. He is a guy who's very entertaining to listen to, right? So he's telling his story, and somebody told on him. Somebody snitched. Right? So I want to know how you feel about that. Like, would you be at work using the M-word? So you're in mixed company. It's not all black folks. It's not. Would you be at work using the M-word? I want to know. And how do you feel about Walter Mosley doing that? And he wrote about it. He said, look, this is something where my people have been oppressed by this word. If anyone has the right to use the word, basically that's what he's saying. It's me, right? And he says this in this piece in the New York Times. There I was being chastised for criticizing the word that oppressed me and mine for centuries. As far as I know, the word is in the dictionary. As far as I know, the Constitution and Declaration of Independence assure me of both the freedom of speech and the pursuit of happiness. And I guess here's my issue, right? That's the same thing that a bigot would say. That's the same thing that a racist would say. Oh, why can't I use the N-word? The Constitution assures me of freedom of speech and the pursuit of happiness. It makes me happy to use the N-word. So I want to know what you think about that. Give me a call. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. The President Donald Trump, coming to HBCUs, coming to a National Historically Black Colleges and Universities Conference on Tuesday, September 10th. How you feel about that? That's tomorrow. Why did they invite this dude to speak about HBCUs? I want to know, is it about the money? Are you selling out again? Come on, man. Please. I'm tired of y'all selling out. So there's that. And then, of course, tomorrow, there's going to be a hearing at City Council, and it is the next step in the process. There's a step that's taking place today. We are going to be sitting down with the mayor about some things today around that issue, and then we're going to be at City Council tomorrow around the racist Facebook cops, that whole thing. And so it is a step-by-step process, and tomorrow is another step in that process. Are you going to be there? Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation. Let's talk to Maurice from Southwest on line 2. Go ahead, Maurice.
Solomon, the truth.
What's up, bro?
Over the weekend. Let me tell you something, brother. When I worked up at Gradyford, I used to call all, that's why I used to call all the white guards. I used to call them the N-word.
No, you didn't.
Oh, yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
And I was known for it. And you can ask anybody that worked up at Gradyford. I did. That's why I used to call them. Let me tell you something. You know what I told him?
What?
I said, I'll stop calling you that when you stop calling me that. They ain't say nothing else to me about it. You can't give them what they expect. I always flip it on them all the time. That's the only reason I was one of the survivors up there that worked there almost 20 years, because I always flipped it on, because they fired a lot of brothers up there for nonsense. But I called you to talk about gentrification.
Okay.
Now, you know we got crime, right?
Yeah.
We got people losing their houses. We got the taxes. We got the sheriff's office being bothered, the wills, all that. All that's connected, and we don't see it. The 2% only black business, the 25% unemployment, all that is under gentrification. And a lot of us do not know that as homeowners in Philadelphia, we're allowed to use the abatement in our access too. But we don't know that because our so-called constituents don't tell us how it works.
Yeah, you can't. So if you add on some addition to your house, if you do any new construction on your house, yes, you can use the abatement for that portion of new construction. Yes, you can.
All right, just as a suggestion, there's only a suggestion that maybe you get a person that's an expert in that and how to do that to explain to the common people, because they had a fair this weekend in Strawberry Mansion, and they were mentioning it. But if you got kids out there in the carnival and you got the bounce and you're eating food and you listen to a band, you're not taking notes. So they need to hear this on your form, because I know a lot of people. Listen, I sit there every day with a pencil and pad and take down notes about what's going on, and I think that you should help the people with that situation. And one other thing is, I've been watching on YouTube on how cops don't know the law. And they push that law on a lot of black folks and make them incriminate themselves. And a lot of brothers wouldn't be in jail if they just knew how to shut up, take a fifth. So we need maybe an ex-cop or a retired cop to come on and explain the rules about how cops make their stop. They're not allowed to just stop you in the middle of the street and ask for your ID. A lot of people don't know that. You know, they need to know these facts of engagement so we don't get ourselves in trouble. That's all I want to say.
All right, man. Thank you for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go to Ron from South Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Ron.
Yes, how you doing, Solomon?
Good. How are you?
All right. I'm a first-time caller. I want to
Thank you
and everybody who works for HAT.
WURD.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Well, what I wanted to say was, between HAT and 900...
WURD. HAT's been gone for a lot of years.
But what I want to say is, I've been listening between that station and your station over 35 years.
Wow. Thank you, man.
I never called, right? But I do have something to say today, right? I'm glad you're talking about the N-word.
Okay.
Simply because the N-word is what keeps us in the condition that we are in. We need to get the N-word out of our hearts and our minds. That's just one of the things, one of the main things.
I agree.
Right? And the second thing is not knowing our history, because the N-word teaches us not to want to know our history. You know? And another problem we have is integration. Integration hurt us because we lost all our businesses. wanting to be like other people. And also, right, dealing with our churches and our religion, we are separated there. We need to stop that. You know, because Malcolm tried to tell us about having our businesses and everything, right? But a lot of people didn't want to listen to him. We should control the businesses in our neighborhood. And this is one of the reasons why we had the violence we have between each other. The number one thing is the N-word.
All right.
You know? Yes. So I'm a little nervous, so I can't say anymore. I appreciate it.
That's all right, Ron. You did great, man. Thank you so much. We appreciate your call this morning on WURD Radio. We're going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to continue to take your calls. Love those first-time callers, man. We're getting a lot of them, and our audience is building, so we appreciate that, and we appreciate, Ron, thank you so much for listening between these two stations for 35 years. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to take your calls at 215-634-8065. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Philly, D.C., and everything in between. Reality Check with Charles Ellison. Breaking down the latest in local and national news. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM. WURD. Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by Compassion International. We have some volume busy. Schuylkill eastbound Gulf Mills through Conshohocken. Again, Montgomery to Spring Garden. Westbound busy. Bear to South, jamming the Boulevard to Belmont. Southbound 95 for James Cotman down through Girard. Northbound not bad. Westbound Vine delay from 8th Street through Broad. Again, Parkway through the Schuylkill Expressway. Westbound Turnpike, Willow Grove to Fort Washington getting heavy. 295 northbound. Your jam 130 to north of 42. All that from an earlier accident that has been cleared. Now 42 northbound. You're jammed up there from College Drive up to 295. Southbound on 42, no major problems. 55 north jam, 47 into 42 into Philadelphia. No major problems yet on the Ben Franklin Bridge this morning.
It's easier to change the world than you think. Sponsor a child in extreme poverty with Compassion International, and you will change the world for that child. Just text the word child to 83393 to sponsor right now.
For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
Back by popular demand. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And, of course, we are talking about a number of things this morning. I'm behind the scenes, man, just griping about these black people meet with Donald Trump. What are y'all doing? You know he's a racist. What are you doing? I'm trying to figure that out. You know what I mean? So, Kawesa, maybe you can help me. So, he's going to be speaking at this HBCU conference tomorrow. You know, they done kept it under wraps. Ain't nobody really know about it. All of a sudden now, Donald Trump showing up, speaking at this historically black college and university conference. And ain't nothing but black people shucking and jiving, doing their little dance, right, trying to get some money. When are we going to learn? When are we going to learn, Kawesa? Please help me.
I can't.
Okay.
I want to help you. It's so what I see here in this article is that there are actually going to be representatives from each HBCU around the country. So that does mean that my alma mater is going to be sending a representative, but along with all the other HBCUs that are in the country.
I need you to leave now, go down to Hampton, and start kicking some butt. Right now. Right now, Kawesa.
Oh,
it's
man.
ridiculous.
It is.
Come on, man. I want to hear from you. So what do you think about it? 215-634-8065. Am I the only one who's outraged? Am I the only one who feels a sellout coming on? I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. And, of course, there is some money attached to this. But we don't know if the money is coming from Trump or not. So this story says that investment in HBCU programs has increased under Title III of the Higher Education Act of 1965. The White House put out a statement saying this has resulted in the following: a $35 million increase in the Strengthening Historically Black Colleges and Universities program, a $9 million increase in the Strengthening Historically Black Graduate Institutions, a $1 million increase in the Strengthening HBCU Master's programs, and then some other money that they're talking about. Now, is this money from Trump, or is this money from 1965 and it's just been building over the years? I want to know what you think, man, because to me, I'm not going to be seeing no pictures with this dude. I'm sorry, because that is just a campaign photo op for him. See, I know I called your countries crap holes. I know I said y'all need to go back to where you came from. I know that I called your neighborhoods crime infested and rat infested. I know I said all those things, but look at this picture. Come on, man. Please. 215-634-8065. So we're talking about that. Plus, Walter Mosley ends up leaving the writer's room at Star Trek Discovery because he used the N-word while telling a story about a racist cop in that room. And this is what he said. He says this: there I was being chastised for criticizing the word that oppressed me and mine for centuries. As far as I know, the word is in the dictionary. As far as I know, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence assure me of both the freedom of speech and the pursuit of happiness. Would you use the N-word at work? I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Let's go to the phone lines and talk to Frank from West Philly on line one. Good morning.
Solomon, good morning, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I eliminated, and I was one of the ones, I think a lot of people used the N-word at one time, you know, but I eliminated that from my vocabulary. I'm an old guy now, and I don't use it. I may use other terms, but I don't use the N-word. And people, young people, black young people, oh, that's my homie. I say that out of love. Let me tell you what that, you know, you got to know what the N-word means, and I don't think you know what it means and what it originated from white folks, poor white trash. And it means you're lower than a dog. You're subhuman. You're not worth to be on this earth. I mean, and it goes on and on with the definition. And when you tell your girlfriend or whomever, that's my N, that's what you're saying to that person. And you know, Solomon, maybe if we started advising these young people, because they say the N-word and they don't know what it means. And white folks say the N-word. They don't know what it means. And, you know, when you were growing up, Solomon, this is my last statement, my mother and father never, ever used derogatory language, grease balls. I never even knew what that meant, or cracker. We never used that in our house. But white folks, they use that terminology, the N-word. I don't want no N person in my house. You ain't going out, that N person ain't going out with you. And they use that terminology, but they don't know what it means to young people. All they know is I'm superior than you are just because I'm white. I may not have any money in the bank. I may not have a job, but I'm better than you because Donald Trump tells me I'm better than you.
I hear you, man, and we got to move on, but I want to thank you so much, Frank, for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We're going to go back to the phone lines and talk to Brother O'Kang from Chapel Manor on line 2. Go ahead, Brother O'Kang.
Yes, Solomon Jones. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Just real thankful that we're at Chapel Manor now.
Good.
I mean, yeah, this is a real plus, real positive plus. What I need and all this is just saying hello to everyone, wanting to, those of Mosque number 12, sisters and brothers, and good morning to the queens at the station, Quasa, and others. I don't want to mention names because I'll slip someone, and what they'll say, oh, well, he didn't mention my name. Anyway.
Brother O'Kang, thank you, man, and I'm sure all the queens thank you, and we appreciate your call this morning on WURD. I'm glad you're someplace where they're taking care of you, man. We appreciate that. Let's go to Anthony from Delaware on line 3. Go ahead, Anthony. Anthony, we can hardly hear you, bro.
Okay, hold on one second.
Yeah, if you're on speakerphone, if you can get on the regular phone, we probably hear you better.
How about now? Is that better?
A little bit. Go ahead.
A little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the N-word, I've eliminated from my vocabulary, and I'm dealing with young kids, and I'm going to try to, help them with that also, the young men especially. But I'm going to go off topic a little bit. So I'm listening to the news, and it's just upsetting me. So this guy, he has a golf course in Scotland, right? And it's some airport that's near this golf course. He gets the military. A military goes along with, stops in Scotland, let the airmen stay at the hotel, plus fuel up at some commercial airline. And the military now is on board with keeping his golf courses afloat because they were losing money. And it's like he's corrupted almost everybody, almost seemed like.
Yeah, you're not off topic. We actually opened with that. There was an Air Force flight. It was a C-17 that stayed at the president's golf resort in Turnberry, Scotland, during a March refueling stop, and they were on their way to Kuwait. The thing that really bothers me about it is that when the Air Force first spoke about it, they said, oh, that's not unusual, right? And it's not outside of our guidelines. And my feeling is if it's not outside your guidelines, change the guidelines. Now, since they've said that, there has been such an outcry over it that now they're saying, oh, we're going to reevaluate what we do and this and that. Well, you shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. That is corrupt. Right? You spending taxpayer money from the military that's supposed to be going to protect Americans, and you putting it straight in Donald Trump's pocket. That's corruption. I know people who are in jail for that kind of stuff. And it's not, it's not a game to me, man. I know people personally, right, who have been jailed over corruption. And here's this guy who's doing it as the president of the United States. You're not off topic at all. That is an outrage. And it's just another reason why I'm really angry that black people from HBCU sitting up grinning in his face tomorrow. I can't, man.
From the military approved it and then tried to hide it. Now Congress is trying to act about it. They're stonewalling. Can you believe that? It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it is.
Take care.
All right, man. Thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. Nah, you're not off topic at all, bruh. You know what I mean? I'm outraged by it. And that's yet another reason, Kuwasa. Why are there black people from our historically black colleges and universities that the only reason we have them is because we couldn't get in white universities, and y'all sitting up grinning in the face of a racist? I'm trying to understand what is going on with us. Let's go to Tyrone from Cobbs Creek on line 1. Go ahead, Tyrone.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. The thing, the N-word, tell me to look up the old Webster Dictionary. That'll tell you what the nigger is or N-word. Tell them to look that up, all right? That's all.
All right. Thank you for your call. Let's go to Demetrius from Camden on line 2. Go ahead, Demetrius.
Good morning, Brother Solomon.
Good morning.
I just want to comment on the N-word. I think the brother Mosley was punished because white folks in that room was not able to use it. So the fact that he used it, they were offended because they weren't able to use it anymore.
That's interesting.
And a lot of times what happens is when we liberate ourselves socially and mentally, what tends to happen is there's some things that, white folks aren't able to do anymore. And if we continue to do things that they're not able to do, they are offended by that. Not necessarily the use of the word, because I couldn't imagine why he would be offended. If anything, Brother Mosley would be offended, or should be offended, by them even addressing the matter.
So I guess my question to you then is this: are you okay with Walter Mosley doing it? Would you do that?
I would do it in the context of telling a story or maybe quoting somebody, because where I work, I work with young people every day. They use it every day, and I tell them not to use it. But I went to a party with Hispanic friends of mine. I mean, I was the only brother who was there, and they was using the word left and right.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I
don't like that.
Really, I wasn't offended because I knew that they didn't use it that way. But again, I understand the context.
Yeah.
I don't agree with it, but the thing is, I was amazed that the word was people used it that comfortably because we used it that comfortably.
Well, that's the problem. We shouldn't be using it that comfortably, in my view. And I think that I've come to that conclusion as I've gotten older, right? I didn't, it wasn't offensive to me when I was younger. It wasn't offensive to me when I wasn't thinking from really a more Afrocentric perspective. But now, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that word. I don't.
Understood.
Yeah.
Because I even had a student, where I work, we have adjudicated youth.
Yeah.
And, every once in a while we have Caucasian students that are there. And I've had a Caucasian student call another African-American student the N-word. And the reason why he did it, it wasn't because of, as far as my assumption, it's because of the environment. That's the way he felt as though he needed to address them in order to feel like he was down and tough.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I looked at them like, yo, and I spoke to him, I'm like, listen, I know how you think you feel or whatever like that, but don't use that word in my presence.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, listen, you shouldn't even allow him to use that word. But they were like, Mr. Robinson, we ain't da-da-da-da. But again, they morphed the word into something that, again, in my opinion, you can't morph the word because I still would be offended if a specific person used it against, towards me. So, it's very complex, but again, I don't use the N-word myself.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. We're going to try to squeeze in one more. Malik from Mount Airy is on line 4. Go ahead, Malik.
Good morning. Good morning, Salomon. Good morning, WURD family.
Good morning.
My problem with this mentality of HBCUs, I understand maybe the methodology behind it. You know what? Sometimes I got to sit down and face the person that I got a problem with and speak to you and tell you how I really feel. I get if that's what I'm doing, I get it. But if you're saying I'm just going to go on and let this man speak as he's the person that's going to represent me, I got a problem with that. And as far as you are allowing the Air Force acting like they didn't know that was a problem. So let me get this straight. You're telling me the president's not supposed to make money from the country while he's the president. So it's okay, but it's okay for Donald Trump to do it? The president's not even supposed to make money at all outside of I'm going to just say $400,000 because I don't know how much the president makes. He's not supposed to make him money. So now the government, the Department of Defense, they're going to play. I have no idea that going to his golf club is going to pay him. Are you serious?
I know. It's crazy, right? That's crazy. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. This house then show going crazy. That was on the Three Stooges one day. I mean, it's like it's crazy, man. We are at the point where every norm has been broken, every ethical rule that's been put in place in order to really safeguard us has been violated, and I just think we are dealing with someone who. The more he gets away with, the more he's going to try to do. He's one of them cats, right? He's not somebody that's going to stop. Okay, I've gone to this point. Okay, I'll stop here. No, the more he gets away with, the more he's going to try to do. And we cannot allow this to become normal. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue our conversation right here on WURD.
Family Therapy Vignette Moments with Dr. Lucille Ijoy. Are you a little grumpy because you need to see a dentist? You're afraid to smile. This is not fun. Be brave. Make an appointment to see a dentist. You'll look better, younger, and you won't be afraid to smile. Listen to a little music by Marian Anderson. Some dentists have quiet music playing in their offices.
Support independent black media and join the 4Word movement now at 215-425-7875 or visit wordradio.com. Now, a traffic update on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by the Empire State Building. Big jam getting into Philadelphia over the Ben Franklin Bridge. Westbound on the Ben Franklin Bridge, you're jammed for the toll plaza through the midspan, all but because of a disabled vehicle. Now 42 northbound, you're jammed up there this morning. Big jam from College Drive up to Creek Road. Disabled vehicle there off of the shoulder. This is 55 north jam from 47 into 42, 295 both ways. Real jammed as you head into 42 as well. Southbound 95 jam Cotman down through Girard, northbound through the city. Not bad yet. Schuylkill Expressway eastbound side. Heavy from 202 through the curve. Again, Montgomery to Spring Garden. Westbound the Verde to South jammed in the Boulevard out to Belmont. Southbound Blue Ridge. Both ways Blue Ridge. Route 1 to Media. Swarthmore now. A busy ride. Visit the new Empire State Building galleries. You'll be immersed in the iconic building's history and mystique through a thrilling variety of fun new exhibits. Tickets at empirestatebuilding.com/radio. Open daily till 2 a.m. For more traffic information, log on to sigalert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD, and we're taking your calls at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. We're talking about a number of things this morning, including our top three stories, which are story number one. In an opinion piece in the New York Times, novelist Walter Mosley wrote about his short-lived, racially charged stint as a writer on Star Trek Discovery, revealing how he was chastised by human resources staffers for using the N-word while on the job. Walter Mosley, of course, the writer of Devil in a Blue Dress, Always Outnumbered, Always Outgunned, a number of mysteries that have become movies. Very well-known writer. And he's in there telling a story about a racist cop in L.A. who used the N-word while explaining why he stopped black people in white neighborhoods and stopped white people in black neighborhoods. Somebody snitched, went to HR. Walter Mosley eventually leaves that job, but writes about it in the New York Times and says, look, as far as I know, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence assure me of both the freedom of speech and the pursuit of happiness. My only problem with that is that that's the same thing a racist would say if they used the N-word. The Constitution gives me freedom of speech. It's just freedom of speech, right? Would you use the N-word at work? Would you want to hear others using the N-word at work? I want to know what you think. Story number two, President Donald Trump is going to be speaking before the National Historically Black College and Universities Conference tomorrow. This disturbs me because here's a guy who's done everything he could to insult black people while he was president. He spent 5 years spreading a racist lie about President Obama, that he was not born in the United States. He was born in Kenya. He took out full-page ads to try to have 5 innocent young men of color put to death over a rape of a white woman that they did not commit. He was sued twice by the Justice Department for discriminating against black and brown people in his real estate business. And this who y'all got speaking at a conference for historically black colleges and universities? Seriously? For real? For real, though? That's what y'all doing? I got a problem with it. I want to know what you think. And, of course, we continue our fight regarding policing here in the city of Philadelphia, rooting out racism out of the Philadelphia Police Department. We started with a protest. We went to a community meeting. We did a meeting with the mayor. We're going to do another meeting with the mayor because now we have some other things we have to address around the issue of policing as well. And then tomorrow, City Council, as a result of the people speaking up, City Council is going to be holding hearings around those racist Facebook posts and some other things as well. So we continue to move with this step by step. We continue to move with this process. We continue to move in concert, in unison, as a coalition around this. And we continue to do what you have asked us to do, which is to stand up for our community and our people. So tomorrow there's going to be a hearing at City Council at 1 o'clock in City Council chambers around those racist Facebook posts by Philadelphia police. So we're talking about that, talking about a number of things. Want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. Don from West Philly is on line 1. Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, this is another example. We as a community we don't have no standards. When like the perfect example, when Israel, Jews came out of in Israel, they had the 10 Commandments. They give you a standard that everybody could follow and know right from wrong. He should have been fired. It's a perfect example that we need to develop some standards, man. We don't have no absolutes in our community.
You talking about Walter Mosley?
Yeah, we don't have no absolutes. This is something we should say, enough is enough. We're going to stop using that word in public as a community, because every group have a standard. There's certain things you ain't going to say, you ain't going to do. They may do it behind closed doors, but certain in public, we have no standards, man. And that's being reflected, like I told you last week. I see more black folks getting fired because they don't know how to act on the job, man. I have never witnessed something like that. And I see that at 3 Wawas I worked at, they hired black folks about a year ago. And a third of them are gone already. Because they frowning, they arguing with people, customers, and all of them going. And let's develop some standards, some absolutes. Got to have some absolutes. Say, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. As a group, we're not going to move forward. And every other group know that. Thank you.
I hear you, Don. I want to thank you for your call. As he was talking, I was thinking about something I saw over the weekend, actually in 2 McDonald's. One here in Philadelphia, they dragged the dude out. Now, they said the guy's always coming in there, starting trouble, very aggressive, panhandling, doing other things. And I could see that. I used to work at 17th and Sansom, right around the corner from that McDonald's. There's a lot of people who beg down there because there's a lot of money on Walnut Street, right? And they've tried to do a lot of things about people who panhandle aggressively and other things. So I've been in that McDonald's years ago. I haven't been in there in a lot of years, but you had people coming in there doing it then. So if you don't know the whole story, you don't know the atmosphere, you don't know what kind of stuff goes on there, you like, why they dragging this dude out the McDonald's? That's why, right? But they only showed the end result of these people dragging this guy out of this McDonald's. So I think they got fired. Then there was another guy in the McDonald's in New Orleans, black guy working at McDonald's. He comes out from behind the counter, starts choking this customer because the customer was complaining about his food, and then punches him. And so Don's got a point. Like, you got to learn how to act at work. Like, this is a job. I don't care if it's Wawa. I don't care if it's McDonald's. I don't care if it's Popeyes and the people coming in there bugging you about them sandwiches. Like, I don't care what it is. You have to know how to act at work. And there's certain behavior that's just not acceptable. So I agree with Don. I think he's got a point. I want to hear from you, though. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. Let's talk to Dawn from North Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Dawn.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm good, brother.
Good.
I'm just pissed off because Donald Trump, his actions are just, people want to excuse his actions.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't want to listen to a darn thing. Excuse what I'm about to say. I don't want to listen to a damn thing you got to say. Because first of all, you disrespected the first black president of the United States. You disrespected him. Not only did you disrespect him, you disrespected his wife. You disrespected his children. You disrespected this man's education level. You disrespected everything about this man because why? Because he's president, because he's black. You don't want to listen. You don't want him. You didn't want him to be the HNC that we all know as black people what that means. But you didn't want to listen to him, or you didn't want Congress to listen to nothing that he had to say because at that time he was trying to make sure people have what they need. He was trying to make sure that that the country was running smoothly. He was trying to get along with Congress. This man had a broom in his hand, as my best friend Damon Wilson used to say, God bless his soul. He's dead and gone now. But my best friend said it best. This man has had a broom in his hand ever since he got in office. He's been sweeping up the mess. And even when he left office, he still was sweeping up the mess. We're in time. Now, let's go back a little bit further. When President Obama first got elected, did anybody see that on television where all them black people in D.C. and people was coming to D.C. and they walked up to the White House and they got so scared they turned the lights off at the White House? Do anybody remember seeing that on television?
No. Who did that? When did that happen?
Well, it happened the night that President Obama actually got elected president. It actually happened.
Okay.
The people in D.C. were so excited and they were so happy. A mob walked up to, not saying that they was trying to start anything. Let's get that out there. They wasn't trying to start anything, but the people walked up to the house. They walked up to the White House, and inside, I'm talking about inside the White House, they turned the lights off because they couldn't believe that many black people was unified at that time. And let's get something else straight. Why would y'all send this man to a college to talk to black people? For what?
Exactly. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk with our next caller, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Of course, you can also weigh in on Facebook. As a matter of fact, let's check out what people are saying on Facebook at onWURD. That's FORWURD, FORWURD. We want to hear from you as we are talking about a number of things. Walter Mosley using the N-word at work. Are you okay with that? Would you do that? I want to know what you think because he said, look, I have free speech. I got the constitutional right to the pursuit of happiness. And that's the same thing a racist would say, though. Why can't I say the N-word? Y'all say it. Why can't I say the N-word? I got freedom of speech. You know, I think that Don made a point earlier. He said, you know, we got to have some standards. Some stuff needs to be absolute. There needs to be some stuff you're just not going to say or do, which is interesting, and that's fine. But now I almost feel like it's too late. The N-word is in almost every hip-hop song I hear throughout the song, right? I remember, and I grew up on hip hop, and so I'm not coming down on hip hop as a music form. It was the first form of writing that I did, so I'm not coming down on it as that. But I think that what has happened with it and the use of the N-word and other words in that music, trying to be as offensive as possible with the things that they're saying, I think that the genre, if you will, of hip-hop has been hurt by that. I think it's been hurt by that. I think the artistry of it has been hurt by that. And I think our people have been hurt by that because we've normalized some things that just are not normal. So we're going to check out what you're saying on Facebook. But in the meantime, we're going to go to the phone lines and talk to Lamar from Camden. Go ahead, Lamar.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
And to your crew. Just some points that you talked about. In regards to the N-word, we are the only community that seems to take a word that was used against us for racist and say it's normalized.
Yeah.
You'll see Asians calling themselves, and I won't use those words. You don't see Italians using what they used to be called by other Europeans. You don't see Hispanics calling themselves or taking that word and saying it's our word. That's a particular.
Yeah.
I don't mean to give a plug, but David Chappelle has Sticks and Stones talks about that particular subject on what words can be used.
Mm-hmm.
In regards to the HBCU issue, I think that every community, and unfortunately, we have what we call those people who are just don't seem to understand what you're doing, because they should have been burned when he had that photo op when he first came in and didn't get any money.
Mm-hmm.
When all those persons came, what have you, and should have learned from that.
Yep.
Now, it's like, slap me in my face, shame on you. Slap me again, shame on me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Whoever team invited him should be fired.
Yeah, I agree.
Should be fired because it's an insult.
Mm-hmm.
And you sit there and say, you're supposed to be the educated ones. coming from HBCU,
Right.
the finest of the finest,
Right.
and you do something like that. In regards to norms, you talked about as far as what Trump is able to do, and I know we may disagree on the fact of Trump is the worst. Who could get worse in this individual? I think what Trump exposes is the fact that we never really had norms. We had do as I say, not as I do. Because if we look at history, the military has always abused the purse string, but yet every year they come back and say they need more money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have family in the military, and those bases have asbestos in them. That they look like third world country on some of these bases, but yet they come every year saying we need money for the troops.
Mm-hmm.
And if any congressperson opposes or want to tighten up the strings, then the media poses as they're opposing the military or they don't care about our troops.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just, I always say, like, when is enough in regards to back to, Trump and his abuse of lying in his pockets? It really didn't have any norms. I think there's laws. You can't have norms when you have someone who's abusive, who's all about making money, and has the apparatus to go along with him making money off of his presidency.
I hear you, man. I want to thank you so much for your call this morning. We're going to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to continue our conversation right here on WURD Radio. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Listen to Word Radio on the go with the Word Radio app. Search for WURD in your favorite app store today and take us with you wherever you go. Stay connected to Word Radio, independent black media.
Just one more step. You got it.
You're doing great. This is the sound of a nationally ranked top rehabilitation hospital, home to the largest collection of robotics in the United States, where we continually exceed patient expectations. Because no injury is too severe or too minor for our care.
There you go.
This is the sound of success. Moss Rehab. Challenge accepted.
Word family. Our friends at Amoroso's Baking Company are hiring right now. Amoroso's has been baking the delicious bread in our community for over 100 years, and they want you to join their team today. The old and the young love Amoroso's, and they are hiring production, packaging, and sanitation employees right now. Check it out. They offer fair pay and provide health, dental, and prescription plans after 90 days of employment. They're also hiring part-time and seasonal employees. Entry-level candidates are encouraged to apply. Call Scott Drummond at 856-754-0360 or visit amorosos.com for details. We are progressive and proud and interactive. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at onWURD. This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Streaming live at wordradio.com. It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. And we're talking about a number of things, including our top three stories, which are story number one. Walter Mosley had a short-lived, racially charged stint as a writer on Star Trek Discovery, revealing how he was chastised by human resources staffers for using the N-word while on the job. And he said this: "There I was being chastised for criticizing the word that oppressed me and mine for centuries. As far as I know, the word is in the dictionary. As far as I know, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence assure me of both the freedom of speech and the pursuit of happiness. Would you be using the N-word on the job?" So I want to know what you think about that, because I know I wouldn't. Story number two: President Donald Trump is going to be delivering remarks at the 2019 National Historically Black Colleges and Universities Conference. That's tomorrow. And that's what a White House official told Black Enterprise on Friday. And you'll remember that in 2017, President Trump promised to make HBCUs an absolute priority and increase federal funding for these institutions. Since then, HBCUs have been included in the federal 5-year STEM education plan and the federal research and development budget priorities. Have they actually gotten any money that they weren't going to get anyway? That's my question. And this story does not make that clear, but this is how it's reported out of Black Enterprise. I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Are you cool with President Donald Trump speaking before a conference of HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities? Story number 3, that's tomorrow. That's right, tomorrow, Philadelphia City Council holding a hearing on the racist and offensive items posted on Facebook by 328 Philadelphia police officers. That will happen because the people demanded it. 215-634-8065 is the number. You can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. You can also weigh in on Facebook and let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. So we have some people weighing in on Facebook, including Arnold Thornton, who says this: good morning, Brother Solomon. Just a comment on the uses of the N-word. I think that it is inappropriate to use the N-word in the work environment, sure, but I do believe that people of color are the only ones that should be allowed to use it if the word is used in its proper context. Sometimes people use that word because they have the lack of a better word, so no, it should not be used in the work environment, but only people of color should be able to use that word if it's used in the right context to tell a story, to marry or something, or for lack of a better word. Also, I just want to thank you for all that you do, and may you continue to bring these issues to the forefront for us. Keep up the great work. So thank you, Arnold Thornton. We appreciate your comment. See, I'm at the point now I don't even want to hear. I don't want to hear nobody use it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it because it's a word that has been used to downgrade our people. It's a word that has been used to insult and disparage our people. It's a word that's been used to hurt our people. And I remember hearing Brian Dawkins, now a Hall of Fame former football player, played for the Eagles for many years. He said that his uncle told him a story. He said his uncle said to him when he heard him use that word, that you should not use that word because for many of our people, that was the last word they heard before they were lynched. And that story stuck with me. Never met Brian Dawkins, never talked with him personally, but when I heard him tell that story, the story stuck with me, and it put it into context for me. See, that's the context for me, is that it's a word that is a racist word that I don't want to hear and I don't want to use. And so I definitely don't want to hear somebody else using it. But I want to know what you think, because I know all of us think differently about that. So give me a call. Let me know. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio, and let us know where you are on any of these things we are talking about on this morning's show. Let's go to Sylvia from Kensington on line 1. Go ahead, Sylvia.
Good morning, Solomon. Sylvia here. We've met at various demonstrations.
Okay.
And I want to know if you think it'd be a good idea for me to testify tomorrow at the hearing. And I've had a letter to the editor published criticizing the police for the Plainview project. That, some of them should be fired. I've had my picture in the paper holding a sign saying "Good cops denounce bad cops."
Yeah, I remember you. I remember you, Sylvia. Yeah, I think you should testify tomorrow.
Well, let me tell you one other thing, if I may.
Sure.
A neighbor who's a police officer in Philly, when I told him what I was doing, the letter to the editor and the signs, he looked at me very carefully and he said, "Sylvia, you better be careful." And 2 weeks later, my car window was broken. Mm-hmm. And then after that, I got a new used car, and it's been vandalized. Mm. And I'm wondering if this is police retaliation. Mm. Mm. Never had problems in my house. 25 years, never had a problem before. Mm-hmm. So part of me says I want to testify. Part of me is a little afraid, but part of me says no, maybe you should do it. But I want to ask your advice. I
think you should follow your heart. That's what I think. Mm-hmm. I think you should follow your heart. I think you should do what you think is right. Only you know how you feel about your safety and security, and certainly I would not ask you to risk that. But I think you should follow your heart and do what you feel is right.
Okay, well, that's good advice.
All right.
I will definitely be there tomorrow and think seriously about saying what I just told you.
All right. Thank you, Sylvia. We appreciate you, and we appreciate your advocacy, and we appreciate you as an ally in this fight. Thank you so much for all that you do. And yeah, we put ourselves at risk when we stand up against evil, when we stand up against what's wrong. There are always going to be those who are going to push back. But I think if we remain united, if we remain committed, and if we remain consistent, and we use the power that we have, then we win. And that is what we have to keep in mind. And we have to keep in mind and know the power that we have. We have to know that these are people that work for us. It's not the other way around. Like, I think that, we have to recognize the power that we have before we can effectively use it. And the power that we have is quite simply this. These people work for us, all of them, from the mayor on down. They work for us. And so this whole, acting as if we are afraid to address the things that are happening in our community, well, they work for us. And that is the attitude that we have to have. That is the knowledge that we have to stand on. And we have to realize that, yes, we have faith. Certainly we pray before we do these things and all of that. But then after that, you have to act. You have to actually do something. And you have to do it with a spirit of knowing that, you know what, I'm going to do what's right and it's going to be okay. One way or the other, it's going to be okay. Let's go to Gary from Southwest on line 2. Go ahead, Gary.
Hey, good morning, Solomon. Thanks for taking my call.
Welcome.
I just wanted to make a brief comment on that N-word. To me, it's a very offensive word, and it's a word that we should never be using. Even a lot of our artists, they use that word in their lyrics a lot, and it just blows my mind that we continue to use that word that was so demeaning to our people.
Yep.
I come from North Carolina, and I remember the stories listening to my uncles talk about the things they went through and what they were called and how they were talked to. So that needs to be off the table totally.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I wanted to comment on the HBCU event that they invited this man, 45 to.
Yeah.
I don't believe us. In my opinion, we're our own worst enemy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you and I can have a difference, but we can settle that. But I'm not going to go and do something that's going to be offensive to my brother or my sister. And I don't understand that. I really don't understand the mindset and why they would even bring this guy, because he's promoting the racism in this country. And one thing I wanted to mention, the story about the Sixers player who went to the Eagles football game. I have to mention this. I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm not really a Philadelphia sports fan at all because of how they've treated our athletes. I don't want to go into the history of all that, what they've done to some of our athletes. But for this, these Eagles fans thought they could approach this young man, and he kind of knocked one of them out, or maybe two of them out. They got what they deserved, and they've always been rowdy, and the racism in the city towards our players, even the way they treated Randall Cunningham when he was here. But I just want to leave that there, and I want to see how that case is going to turn out with that particular situation, because the gentleman, in my opinion, got what he deserved by stepping to someone and swinging at him. Thank you.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for your call. I'm 4 for 4, man. I'm a Philadelphia fan. I know that some of the history has been racist, but please name me a team in any league, professional league in the United States where there was not racism. Anyone. Just name me one where there was not racism. They didn't allow black people to play for many years, of course. I know the history of the NFL very well. Fritz Pollard was one of the first black players and coaches in the early years of the NFL, and then they banned black players after his success. But I also know that the Eagles had some of the first black quarterbacks that I ever saw. They had a guy named Vince Evans. He was a backup to Ron Jaworski. They, of course, had Randall Cunningham. Cunningham as one of the first black premier quarterbacks in the league. Now, you could talk about how he was treated by the fans or whatever, but I'm talking about the fact that the team took a chance on him. When Michael Vick couldn't get a job with other teams, Andy Reid brought him here to Philadelphia and gave him another shot, gave him a chance to resurrect his career. And so we could talk about it from a negative standpoint. We could talk about it from a positive standpoint. But because of those things, I remain a fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. So, and yeah, you're right. They got what they deserve. You shouldn't be stepping to somebody that's like 6'9", 6'10", talking about you going to swing at them, right? I mean, you gotta be willing to accept what comes with that. So you're right. They got what they deserved for that. But I'm going to go back to the phone lines, and we're going to talk to Dave from Bluebell on line. No, let's talk to Eric from West Philly on line 3. Go ahead, Eric.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I've been noticing a disturbing trend from last year up into this year. Just recently, you know, I went online right before I called, and I didn't even know about these other murders of these young women because I saw a couple of them on the news, and just the last 2 weeks, I think it's been like 4 young women murdered, and it's been going on. I've been noticing this from last year, too, so I just wanted to put that out there because when you got people that's gunning down women and stabbing women to death, this stuff don't, you know what I mean, this ain't crazy.
Okay, Eric, I want to thank you for bringing that up. We'll look into it, and certainly we care about that, but we'll look into it and see if we notice that trend, too. Let's go to Mike from West Philly on line 1. Go ahead, Mike.
Hello, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'd like to talk about that N-word. I think at a point as black people, we find ourselves lost in that N-word. And the N-word, it actually has not a definition or a descriptive term for an action. And due to the fact that we find ourselves lost in the thought of trying to find out the descriptive action of it, or, for lack of words, define it, we find ourselves using it as if it has life. But in all essence, though, that N-word is no more than the obstacle of an action. Like back in the days, after a whipping, it caught you the N-word. So it would no longer have life to actually do things, but have a standard to what things would be.
All right, man, I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We want to hear from you. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. And let us know where you are on any of these things that we are talking about, including HBCUs. So there's a conference tomorrow of HBCUs where Donald Trump is going to be speaking. I'm just flabbergasted by that. You wanted the president to speak. Get Obama. Why are you helping this dude? You helping him. That's the picture they going to put up. See, Donald Trump meets with HBCUs. He's about black education. Meanwhile, he calling you countries crap holes. Meanwhile, he telling you go back to the country you came from. Meanwhile, he talk about your neighborhoods, calling them crime infested and rat infested. Meanwhile, he's telling the cops, yeah, don't be so nice when you arrest them. Hit their head on the side of the cop car while you pushing them in. Like all kinds of stuff, right? And that's just the things he said. This doesn't go to the things he's done, like trying to erase the whole legacy of the first black president ever. Like going around saying that the first black president ever was not eligible to be president because he was born in Kenya, which was a 5-year racist lie, right? It doesn't count all the things he's done, right? That's just some of the things he said just in the last couple of years, right? And you got him at your conference taking pictures with him, smiling in his face? Are you kidding me? I don't know, man. So my wife sent me a text message. She said this. She said HBCU had a photo op at the White House. Now they have extended an invitation for Trump to speak. They are selling their souls for money or for the hopes of getting money. Man, that's sad. 215-634-8065 is the number. Let's go to Dave from Bluebell on line 2. Go ahead, Dave.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
How are you, Dan?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. And I'm calling to comment on the thing about the HBCUs inviting Trump to speak at the conference. I attended Howard University. Went there from 79 to 84. And I remember having a conversation with one of the student council presidents That's when Ronald Reagan, I was there when Ronald Reagan was president. And, you know, at that time we had a few student protests and things on college, took over the administrative building, stuff like that. It was that kind of radical.
Okay.
So, you know, we were kind of, you know, ticked off because, you know, at that time President Cheek was, you know, going up on Capitol Hill, you know, as we might consider, you know, chumming up to Reagan, you know. But the president of the student council said, Dave, let me tell you something. I had a conversation with President Cheek, and he told me, he said, my job as president of the university is to go up there and get that money for y'all students down here. That's my responsibility. Now, if I have to go up there and embarrass myself or whatever, but that's my job. Now, I'll bring your money down here to the university so you can get the education and skills that you need. You don't have to follow me when I'm doing politically, but my job is to get that money. Now, I don't know if these presidents are kind of following that kind of mantra that they feel like they have to get the money to keep the HBCUs open. But President Cheek says, you know, he told the student body president, if we supported the HBCUs financially, as we should have, he would have to go up there and be begging people for money to keep the schools open.
So that's the excuse?
That's what he told the student body president. That's what the student body president said he told me.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Dave, for your call this morning on WURD. So, Kawesa, this conference. So explain to us what this conference is.
And so it's just an annual conference that the White House has, every year, and it's annual. And so I don't know, I can't definitively say that the HBCUs have invited him. Maybe the White House just decided that it would be a good idea for the President of the United States to speak at the conference. My biggest concern is, why are the HBCUs going? If you know that this president has been degrading your people and has been, saying that the people that your ancestors, the places that your ancestors came from are S-hole countries, then maybe you should take a step back and not go to the conference. That's what I feel about it. And, I understand the money aspect. We do need to be giving back more to our HBCUs. I know I can't do it right now, but once I'm finished paying off this student loan, maybe I'll be able to do it. But I'm just saying, it's very upsetting. To me, it is. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. So it's the White House initiative on historically black colleges and universities out of the Department of Education, right? But if I'm one of those college presidents, I can't come. I can't be there. I'm sorry, I got something to do. I got to wash my hair. You know what I mean? So, they're like, Solomon, you ain't got no hair. I'm like, exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't be there. I can't be up under you, man, knowing that you're a racist. I can't do it. So I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. And, of course, this is going to be a photo op for him. This is going to be a campaign ad, right? And it's going to be some black people who are going to be convinced by that. It don't take much. It don't take much because most of us don't follow what's going on. Most of us don't know what's going on. They're like, oh, he's not a racist. And we don't want to believe. Here's the other thing about us, right? We don't want to believe people are racist. We don't want to believe that. We don't want to believe it. And so it's like, okay, oh, great. Okay, there's a picture of him with some black people. Good. He's not a racist. I can relax now because it's an uncomfortable thing to think about. But the reality is, here's this dude who's done everything he could to try to destroy the legacy of the first black president and everything else, and you up taking pictures with him. Come on, man. I'm going to go to the phone lines. James from Media is on line one. Go ahead, James.
And my first time calling you, but I've called into URD many times in
Thank
the
you.
past. And I had to respond to this about that N-word stuff, sir. I'm a 62-year-old black man in this society. And I even have children that listen to this music that plays that word all the time, sir. And why can't these young brothers and sisters understand that, yeah, you think you cool and you big and you bad and you gangster with that, but guess what? You're giving the white man, with that word, you're giving it life. Stop giving that damn word life. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Don't give that word life. As much as you use it, as much as you say it, you're allowing the word to live.
I hear you, man. I hear your passion, and I want to thank you for your call this morning on WURD. We do have to go to break, and on the other side, we're going to be talking with our first guest, and I believe we're going to be talking about how climate change affects the poor. So we're going to be talking about that on the other side with Jermaine Rowley, Ian Round, and Jasmine Connor. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Listen to Word Radio on the go with the Word Radio app. Search for WURD in your favorite app store today and take us with you wherever you go. Stay connected to Word Radio, independent Black media.
What up, Philly? It's Solomon Jones from Wake Up with Word. Join me Saturday, September 14th from 11 to 3 for Hope for Philly. We're going to have free food, a job fair, giveaways, gospel ministry, face painting, moon bounces, and more. Come out and join us for Hope for Philly Saturday, September 14th at the Pennypacker School, 1858 East Washington Lane. And it's all brought to you by WURD, the Philadelphia Inquirer, ShopRite, AT&T, Sherelle Parker's office, Believers Bible Fellowship, Great Commission Church, Riverside Community Church, Mount Airy Baptist Church, and more. Hope for Philly, be there. For more information, go to WURDradio.com.
Listen live at wordradio.com.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Now, a traffic update
on Word Radio.
Good morning. This report sponsored by the Empire State Building. Real busy here in Philadelphia this morning, 42 northbound. Still a big jam ride there from College Drive through 295. Earlier disabled vehicle cleared 55. That's jammed northbound 47 to 42. 295 both ways into 42. Still jammed there as well into Philadelphia. Ben Franklin Bridge. You're jammed the link approaching the toll plaza right in the center city. Southbound 95. That's jammed coming down through Girard. Northbound through the city. Not bad this morning. Schuylkill eastbound busy 202 to the curb. Again, Montgomery to the Vine. Westbound jammed there to the Vine. Again, the Boulevard out through Belmont. Westbound PA Turnpike, you're jammed up there. Willow Grove through Fort Washington. Southbound Blue River, Mid-County through the Schuylkill. Again, Broomall to Media Swampmore. Northbound jam 95 through Route 1. Rack up the lights when you visit the new Empire State Building, now complete with interactive exhibits that are sure to dazzle all of your followers. Tickets available at EmpireStateBuilding.com/radio. The only museum open daily till 2 a.m. For more traffic information, log on to SigAlert.com. I'm Jim Bachman with your Philadelphia area traffic.
You're waking up
with Word.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. And we're going to talk with our first guests this morning. Jermaine Rowley, Ian Round, and Jasmine Connor are all students at the University of Maryland. And they did a piece called Code Red, Baltimore's Climate Divide, which explores how climate change impacts the poor. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
All right, so let's start with you, Jermaine, to give us an overview of what this story is, looking at Baltimore and its climate divide and how climate change impacts the poor. Give us an overview of this story.
Okay, well, of course, climate change is a problem. There has been a lot of natural disasters and things of that nature. So our whole basis of this project was to find out how climate change is impacting local communities, particularly the East Baltimore community. So that's basically what the whole basis of our project.
Mm-hmm. And why did you decide to look at it from that point of view?
Well, those communities are kind of what people care more about. Of course, it gives it something that's a little bit more tangible because, of course, climate change is a problem, but we don't really hear too much about how it's impacting our everyday people. particularly those who are the most vulnerable. So, yeah.
All right. And so, in terms of the individual stories that you dealt with, Ian, in this story, what story from the people you talked to, which story sticks out the most for you?
Which story sticks out the most? I think one of the big things that I'm coming away with from this project is the relationships I developed with the people at a Lutheran church in the neighborhood where we did most of our work. The church was called Amazing Grace Lutheran Church, and it's in this neighborhood called McElderry Park. We didn't have an office up there in Baltimore, and so they were kind of our home base. They helped us connect with a lot of the people that we found. That's where we took our lunch breaks. And so, that was something that I found really valuable.
All right, Jasmine Connor, of the people that you talked to, what did they have to say about climate change and how it impacts their neighborhood? Did they know? And if so, how did they feel it impacted them?
What I found to be really interesting was that the people of Baltimore, particularly the people that we talked to, they had a really positive attitude. And they have been going through this for a long time. And they don't get a lot of help from, the city or, people in government. And so they just kind of deal with it. On the hottest days, we saw people at the pool. And they were standing out in the hot sun, just waiting to get in line. And we asked them, do you know how hot it is? You're in one of the hottest neighborhoods. And they were just like, yeah, what can you do about it? What can you do about it? You just make it through. And that's the kind of attitude that everyone seems to have. They don't seem like they're very much used to getting help. So, yeah.
All right. So one of the things I'm reading in your story that I find interesting is that cities, because they are crowded and paved over, already feel the impact of climate change. They have poorer air quality. They have worse streets and highways. They have bridges damaged by storms. And researchers have looked at it, and they call these urban heat islands. Jermaine, describe what urban heat islands are and what that means in terms of global warming.
So an urban heat island is a place, particularly in the inner city, that doesn't receive a lot of air. So these areas tend to have just mostly concrete, not really too much green space. So in terms of global warming, of course, if there's a lot of concrete and not a lot of green space, it makes accelerates global warming, and it causes the earth to become just like a worse place.
Okay, so Ian, why based on this story that you wrote, why did you see that poor people are particularly impacted by climate change?
Well, it's hotter there in houses where they don't have air conditioning. It can be hotter inside than outside, especially later in the day. We place these temperature sensors in people's homes, obviously with their consent, and returned every couple weeks to download the data. And sometimes that data showed that the heat index was over 110 degrees, hotter than it was if they stepped outside. And so that increased heat is combined with, in these neighborhoods, there's higher rates of asthma, COPD, hypertension, diabetes, all sorts of other health conditions that put them at greater risk.
Yeah. And of course, there's some research coming out of the University of Maryland, the School of Public Health, that says that people in low-income neighborhoods walk more, ride more buses, they drive fewer cars, so they contribute less in terms of their carbon footprint, but they're more affected by it. Jasmine, when you look at that disparity, what do you think?
When I look at disparity?
The disparity in terms of poor people not contributing as much carbon to the atmosphere, right? Affecting climate change as much because they ride buses, they ride bikes, they walk more, they don't have as many cars. So they contribute less to climate change, and yet they're impacted more by climate change. When you look at that, what do you think?
I mean, honestly, I think it's ironic, very ironic. And just touching on what Ian said, that the townhomes that they're in, they're so closely compacted together, and because they have so much cement in the back, there's not a lot of air circulation because it's so, in my opinion, it's mostly the structure that's really going up against them.
Right.
And just walking the neighborhoods of McKelvey Park, you can see that a lot of them do most of the walking. There's not a lot of cars on that area. And you don't get to see, on the really hot days, you don't get to see a lot of people sitting outside. They're really cooped up in their homes. So I think it's very ironic that the people who don't contribute a lot to it are being affected by it the most, by factors that they can't really control.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of solutions, given that it is structural, and I'm glad you brought up that point, Jasmine, it's the way that the neighborhoods are built. Right, that they tend to have less green space, more cement. They're closer together. There's more asphalt and that type of thing that brings in heat. What kind of solutions did you find, and what kind of solutions did people talk about in terms of dealing with the fact that they are so acutely affected by climate change in these communities? Jermaine, I'll give that question to you.
As far as solution goes. Well, of course, there's cooling centers, which ironically a lot of people didn't know about those. But there are a few people that do go to cooling centers just to kind of find relief and kind of cool off from the heat. Other terms of solutions.
Ian, what do you think the solutions are? What based on your reporting, what solutions did you come up with?
The most important thing is tree cover. Baltimore City is one of the few cities that is actually increasing its percentage of tree canopy, although not by much. It's just it increased by like 1% over 10 years or something. Tree cover is the most important thing. In that church I mentioned, in its backyard, there used to be like a whole block of vacant row houses, and so a land trust demolished those homes and replaced it with a park. So now it has a couple of trees, a couple shaded benches, a rain garden, some open grassy area. And so that's sort of one option is we can deal with our vacant houses by demolishing them and replacing them with green space. Of course, there's room for both that and repopulating them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I want to thank the three of you for joining us. And Jasmine, I do want to give you a chance to answer that question as well regarding solutions.
Well, in addition to the tree coverage, I really think that one thing to note that we noticed was that there weren't a lot of like city involvement. And when we talked to the residents, they said it's hard to also get a lot of the residents involved. A lot of them are renters. We talked to a lot of different people, and they really emphasized that it needs to be community-driven. There needs to be a community-driven effort in order to solve these things, because we can plant trees, but, the residents have to take care of the trees. The residents have to take care of the green space, They have to go to the meetings and things. So I think that's the big piece, is that it has to be community-driven. Mm-hmm. And right now, it seems like there's not a lot of that.
Yeah, I hear you. I want to thank all three of you for joining us on this morning show. Jermaine Rowley, Ian Round, Jasmine Connor of the University of Maryland. Their work can be found in the Philadelphia Tribune. I want to thank the three of you for your story, Code Red, Baltimore's Climate Divide, which explores how climate change impacts the poor. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a big team effort.
All right. Well,
thank the Howard Center for Journalism and the Philip Merrill College of Journalism.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning on Wake Up with Word. Of course, Word has been looking at that through our onWURD initiative. You can find articles and other things that relate to environment and race and income on our website, WURDradio.com, or go to EcoWord. That's EcoWord, ECOWURD.com, and you can check out all of that there. So we want to hear from you. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. Talk about climate change and how it impacts the poor And, of course, we have done a lot of work on that here at Word. You can check that out at EcoWord. That's ECOWURD.com. But one of the things that they said, Kwesi, that is sticking out for me is that it's structural. It's about the way that the neighborhoods are built. And Baltimore is a great place to look at if you're looking at it from a Philadelphia perspective, because their neighborhoods are constructed in much the same way that our older neighborhoods are constructed. There are row houses, there's lots of asphalt, there's cement, all of those neighborhoods built around factories that now are gone. And so the investment in those neighborhoods also gone. And what is left behind is cement, asphalt, and not as much green space as you see in other areas of the city. I think it's interesting that the structure, and they couldn't have been thinking of it back then when they built these cities. I know a lot of the houses in North Philadelphia were built in like 1915, 1920. They weren't thinking about global warming then, but the structure now leads to those neighborhoods being impacted by global warming more.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely weren't thinking about it, because you also have to look at the fact that they didn't have as large of a carbon footprint back then. So why would you even be, thinking about the fact that, maybe 100 years from now, there could potentially be this issue. And so, Baltimore is actually a really great what was I going to say? Like, I lost my train of thought. But it's a great example because of the fact that Philly was built very similarly to how Baltimore was built. And so, when you're talking about stories like this and you see how impactful climate change is, and the fact that when you are poor and when you don't have a means to move out of the city, how it really impacts you when we're talking about, weather changing and things like that. So, yeah,
it's a big deal. So I want to hear from you. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Of course, we're talking about that and also our top three stories, which are story number one, Walter Mosley, writing about his short-lived, racially charged stint as a writer on Star Trek Discovery, revealing how he was chastised by human resources staffers for using the N-word while on the job. He was telling a story about this racist cop in the LAPD and repeated the N-word, which this cop had used. And one of his colleagues was offended by that. Of course, he's the only black person in the room, Walter Mosley is, and he's using this word. I guess my question to you is, would you use the N-word at work? Do you think that it is an appropriate word to use at work? And even beyond that, I want to know what you think. Give us a call, 215-634-8065. That's the number. Of course, we're going to be talking with Dr. Tim Golden about this very subject a little bit later on in the show. And then story number two. So the White House has this HBCU initiative. They are inviting all the presidents of the HBCUs to come and genuflect before Donald Trump, bow down. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. I'd have to tell him, like, I can't today. I'm washing my hair. I mean, whatever. I got to shampoo my hair, like something. I can't come today. And I want to know what you think about that, because I have a problem with it. This guy has said and done everything he could possible to insult and demean black people. I can't be in your face, smile in your face, man. I cannot do it. So I want to know what you think about that. Story number three, of course, tomorrow, Philadelphia City Council at 1 o'clock in City Council chambers, holding a hearing on the racist and otherwise offensive items posted on Facebook by 328 Philadelphia police officers. And that is going to happen because the people demanded it. And here's what I need to say about that. I need y'all there. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock at City Council, I need y'all there. There's going to be a hearing on the racist and otherwise offensive items posted on Facebook by 328 Philadelphia police officers. I need y'all there. That's going to be 1 o'clock tomorrow at City Council chambers. That's the 4th floor City Hall at 1 o'clock. I need you there. That's going to be the hearing on the racist and otherwise offensive items posted on Facebook. Remember, we went to City Council and demanded that they hold hearings on this. Those hearings are happening tomorrow at 1 o'clock. And so I need you there. I need you in the building. I need you witnessing that and letting them know that, no, we have not forgotten. No, it is not over. No, we are not going to stand for it. I need y'all there tomorrow at 1 o'clock at Philadelphia City Council, and that is on the 4th floor in Philadelphia City Hall. So put that on your calendar now. I need you there tomorrow at Philadelphia City Council for this hearing on these racist and offensive items posted on Facebook by over 300 Philadelphia police officers. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue to take your calls. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
They do. They smile in your face. All the time they want to take your place. The backstabbers. Backstabbers. They smile in your face. All the time they want to take your place. The backstabbers. Backstabbers. All you fellas.
Reality check. Reality check. Hosted by Charles Ellison. Monday through Thursday, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Right here on Word Radio. 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD. Streaming live on WordRadio.com.
If you're looking for a great paying part-time job with flexible hours, check out 2020 Census Jobs. You may have another job or not. You may even be retired or looking for some extra income, but you can also help make sure that everyone gets counted. So apply today at 2020census.gov/jobs to help strengthen your community.
Be heard. Want another way to join the conversation?
Follow us on social media
using the hashtag onWURD.
Be heard.
Stay connected to Word Radio.
Independent Black Media. Word Show on the Go.
Tell us where you'd like to see the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, bring the Word Show on the Go team next. Visit wordradio.com. Click the Word Show on the Go banner and let us know about your community event, big news in your community, or an issue you'd like to see addressed. You can also catch up on the latest episode of Word Show on the Go or binge watch previous episodes. It's Word Show on the Go with the rapping professor, Dr. Aaron Smith, exclusively on wordradio.com. Word Show on the Go is funded in part by the Facebook Journalism Project Community Network. Now, with more clarity, this is Word Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia.
Streaming live at wordradio.com. Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. We want to hear from you. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. We're talking about a number of things, including Walter Mosley kind of being forced out as a writer on Star Trek Discovery after he was chastised by human resources staffers for using the N-word while on the job. He was telling a story about a racist cop in L.A., in the LAPD, and recounted the story and the word that the cop used in that story. And he puts it this way. He says, "There I was being chastised for criticizing the word that oppressed me and mine for centuries. As far as I know, the word is in the dictionary. As far as I know, the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence assure me of both the freedom of speech and the pursuit of happiness." My problem with that rationale is that that's the same thing a racist would say if he wanted to use that word, right? Walter Mosley, of course, a very black man, black writer, who also identifies as Jewish. But he's using his word and saying that, I got freedom of speech. Well, that's the same thing that racists say when they want to use offensive words, and they only doing it to be smart. You know what I mean? And they say, well, it's freedom of speech. It's freedom of speech. I should be able to say anything I want. No, actually you really shouldn't. So I want to know what you think about that. President Donald Trump delivering remarks at the 2019 National Historically Black Colleges and Universities Conference. So that's happening. And, of course, all the HBCU presidents are going to be coming there. Trump talking about the millions that HBCUs get. And I'm just not buying it. I don't see this guy doing anything specific to help HBCUs. As a matter of fact, some HBCU presidents have already spoken out against him about the fact that he talked about all his money he was going to give them and he ain't give them nothing. So I want to know what you think about that. And, of course, tomorrow, Philadelphia City Council holding a hearing on the racist and otherwise offensive items posted on Facebook by over 300 Philadelphia police officers. That's going to happen because the people demanded it. And so what has hit me during this show is the fact that, you know what, I need y'all there. Y'all need to be there tomorrow as they hold these hearings. It's 1 o'clock at City Council chambers, and those hearings are there because you demanded it, because you showed up, because you came through, because you held signs, because you made your voice heard and said, no, we are not going to have this, and we want City Council to stand up with us. And so we are calling for you to come out and just be there as those hearings are held tomorrow at 1 o'clock at Council chambers. I need y'all there. All right, 215-634-8065 is the number. We want to hear from you. Give us a call, and we are going to go to the phone lines now. Let's go to Rebecca from Springfield on line 1. Go ahead, Rebecca.
Good morning. How you doing, Solomon?
I'm good. How are you?
The N-word should come out of our mouth, should never come out of our mouth. That should be the end of it. We ought to know better than that, number one. Number two, the HBCU, what is wrong with them?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Out of their minds. But, you know, it's so sad. We get $2 and we'll do what they say. It's a disgrace. They need to be ashamed of themselves. My granddaughter graduated from Hampton. It's terrible. And I will definitely be there tomorrow. So I'll be praying for y'all, and I'll be there.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you there tomorrow. And again, City Council holding hearings on the racist posts by Philadelphia police officers. And you know what? We need y'all there. I'm calling it out now. We need you there, right? We just can't have these hearings and have certain people testify and have it. No, we need you there. So that is happening tomorrow at 1 p.m. At Philadelphia City Council in council chambers. We need you there. Right. So make sure that you come out and that you are in the building tomorrow for those city council hearings on these racist posts by these Philadelphia police officers. We need you there because it happened because the people demanded it. And it's only right that the people be in the room. I'm going to go back to the phone lines. We're going to talk to Anthony from Chestnut Hill on line 2. Go ahead, Anthony.
Good morning, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Always a pleasure waking up with Word.
Thank you, man.
Hey, listen, thank you. First thing is in regards to the N-word. That word should never be used. I pray for the day that it's eradicated especially within our community in using that word. And when you're using it at work and then you use it amongst white people, you're giving them the food to go ahead and continue their racist values, views, and you're promoting it, man. So that brother need to be fired, and anybody else that uses that word, and I'm sorry, you need to pay full, extent for what punishment should come to you for using that word. And again, I'm going to reiterate, I hope we get to the point where it's eradicated. I'm mid-50s, man, and when I hear it, man, it makes my skin crawl. I don't care whether it's in music. I don't care whether it's a Quentin Tarantino movie. I don't want to hear the word. I don't want to hear it. In regards to the police officers, Solomon, I'm telling you, I was out of town when that happened at Broad and Erie with the 6 cops being shot. But what I learned the most was that afterwards, all the praise for police officers, yada, 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 yada. Well, that same type of energy has got to go against these vile, racist, terrorist police officers that put that out in public. They didn't mean for it to be seen, but it got seen. And the same type of energy that went to, regardless of the community that was terrorized for what happened there, and I'm not condoning what that gentleman did, but we need to have the same type of energy when it's wrong. and these police officers were 100% wrong, and they need to pay the price.
All right, man.
I have nothing to say about Donald Trump, man.
I hear you, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go back to the phone lines, talk with Jeff from Center City on line 3. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hi, Solomon. So I got a couple things to say. First of all, about the N-word. Do you remember about 2 years ago up in Northampton County, there was in a school district a white kid called a black kid the chicken-eating N-word?
I don't remember that.
Okay, I don't know if it came down. It was
okay.
It was local news. But anyway, working construction, that N-word is all over the job sites. And black guys and white guys, but white guys never say it around the black guys. And it's used like if you're late for work, white guy, and you're late for work, another white guy is, what are you on, end time, meaning that black people have, they're behind time, 10 minutes, whatever. It's used a lot, man.
Wow.
I know you know that, but, I try to discourage it, amongst my coworkers. Say, look, if anything, I say somebody's going to turn you into human resource, you're going to lose your job, you know what I mean? Besides the fact that it's hate speech.
Yeah, it is. It is. Jeff, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WURD Radio. Let's go back to the phone lines and talk with Jacob from Olney on line 4. Go ahead, Jacob.
Hey, peace be unto you, Brother Solomon. Hey, look, tomorrow, man, since I'm going to be on my lunch, can you bring me a sandwich, man?
I can bring you any kind of sandwich but that Popeye sandwich. They are there rumbling over them sandwiches. So, I can bring you a Wawa sandwich. I'll bring you something.
No, that's all right. You know what I mean? Look, I'm going to do my best to be there.
Good.
Because, again, that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
But, Trump and this HBCU thing, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about the size of his hands, but I know he got a lot of kahunas, man, to want to get in front of people. Here's a man who at one of his rallies said, "Where is my African American?"
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
Like a slave master would that owned you. Where is my African American? And he was proudly there smiling when they panned to him. But, and here's another thing. Here's a man who said, "I'm proud to be a nationalist," right? I mean, he said this boldly.
Yep.
And these white nationalist groups, right? I don't know what the connection is even with my Jewish brothers. I mean, they don't like y'all like they don't like us, right? But still, he comes out and says that any Jewish people that would vote for a Democrat is, what, crazy or something? And here it is.
Disloyal.
Yeah, well, yeah, disloyal. Now, we know that these white nationalists, they fly the Nazi flag, right? So what Jew and what black man, and I know black people, Mike Tyson is one, who support this guy and support this way. Man, have we all went crazy?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, what is in the water? Are they putting something in the water, Solomon? Can we do some kind of research on that? Because look like people are losing their natural minds to even have to go. Like I said again, the Jewish people, they don't like y'all like they don't like us. So how could you even support this man?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Jacob, I want to thank you for your call. Let's go to Sheila from Overbrook on line 1. Go ahead, Sheila.
Hi, Solomon. So just two quick things. I'll be there tomorrow.
Good.
Just like I was at the press conference.
Good.
Just like I was at Mother Bethel. And I have to tell you, I work 2 jobs. I work 2 jobs. I work all night, and then I have a part-time job. And the only reason I'm saying that is because if I can do it.
That's right. Come on now.
If I can do it, then there's no reason why all of us that are going to benefit from this effort, make the effort. Now at Mother Bethel, there was standing room only, okay? But then at the press conference, and I know that the press conference didn't necessarily require,
right.
This does.
Right.
This does. So I will be leaving from my first job, then I'm going to my second job, and then I'm coming to city council. And Solomon, I'm 63 years old. I'm not no kid. I'm not 25 years old. But as long as God gives me health and strength, I'm going to do what little I can do. And the other thing I wanted to comment on quickly has to do with that interview that you did with the 3 students from Maryland.
Yes.
And I remember when John Street was mayor, and one of the things he did in the neighborhood, in the hood, I call it the neighborhood instead of the hood, he got rid of a lot of those lots by turning them into miniature parks.
Yes, he
I'll
did.
never forget it.
Yep.
I'll never, because I still sit right near my church. My church is in the bottom. And right near my church, you can count, I don't know, within a 2-mile radius, 5 or 6 of them. But like the young lady from the university said, the community does not maintain them. They start putting tires and all kinds of things. And I mean, he got a lot of those things set up. So I don't know what the answer is, but he did make the effort. Have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow, too. So there's actually an organization, I think it's a nonprofit that works with, the Tree Society, Horticultural Society, that actually cuts and maintains vacant lots around the city. They fence them in. They plant grass and in some cases plant trees, and they mow those lots and maintain them throughout the city. So when you see people coming around on those mowers at maintaining those lots, a lot of times it's through that program that they run through the Horticultural Society. So some of that is being done here in the city of Philadelphia, and it's something that they could probably replicate in Baltimore. I'm going to go back to the phone lines very quickly and talk with Haraya from Ardmore. Go ahead, Haraya.
Yes, good morning, Solomon.
Morning.
You know, I do not use the N-word. I don't allow it to be used around me. Now, when you're doing artistic work where you're creating a film and you have to say what was said at that time, or, you know, you're showing a group of kids out on the corner and they're using it, you have to use it to get the point across. But in general conversation and any other time, you know, I don't allow. I have a white neighbor that has a African American son, and she felt that it was you know, because she had some connection to blackness, it was all right for her to use it, you know. And I just don't even black folks, I tell them, don't call my people that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll use the word Negro. Now, the other thing, this racism thing, it's deeper than just firing some officers that you're making us pay taxes for people who we cannot trust to be in our best interest. And the thing about it is that you don't know whether when you go to a doctor, if that person is racist, we really got to give some serious thought to this situation that we're finding ourselves in. You got people that governing over your medical condition that may be racist. So how do you know if they're, you know, giving you the best care or whatever, you know? So it's going to take some real serious, deep thought to see how we can safeguard ourselves. And really, the bottom line, we're going to have to detach ourselves because we can't like the
we got to go. We got to go to break. I'm sorry. But Haraya, I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. We got to go to break. I'm Solomon Jones. This is WRD. We'll be right back.
Now's the time to get your home ready for any season with a Pico Energy Assessment. For just $25, a Pico Energy Advisor will come to your home and recommend ways to make your home more efficient and more comfortable year-round. Schedule your assessment today at pico.com/assessment or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE. That's pico.com/assessment or call 1-888-5-PICO-SAVE. Plus, you may be eligible for an assessment for free.
3, 2, 1. Oh no. Which button am I?
When every second counts, you can't wing it.
Guys, a little help up here?
In a home fire, you may have less than 2 minutes to get out. So make a family home fire escape plan. Then practice home fire drills at least twice a year so everyone knows what to do when they hear. Prepare your family at ready.gov/fire drill. Brought to you by FEMA, the Ad Council, and Make Safe Happen.
Drive in
with Solomon Jones.
Drive home
with Charles Ellison.
This is Word Radio, 96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Philadelphia, independent black media.
Back by popular demand.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones. Right now on Word Radio,
96.1 FM
and 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD. And I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. And we're going to talk with our next guest. Dr. Tim Golden is Professor of Philosophy, Legal Studies Program Coordinator, and Director of the Donald Blake Center for the Study of Race, Ethnicity, and Culture at Walla Walla University. For 20 years, he was a criminal defense attorney in Philadelphia and in the federal courts. Tim, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing just fine. Thanks so much for having me on your show.
Oh, absolutely, man. So I want to talk about something. We've been talking about it this morning, but I want to talk about the nuances of the N-word through the lens of Walter Mosley. Now, Walter Mosley, of course, a famous novelist. He had been working as one of the writers on the streaming series Star Trek Discovery when he used the N-word while recounting a story about a racist cop. He was reported to Human Resources, and they chastised him for using the word. When told he wasn't allowed to use the N-word in the writer's room, he said, "I am the N-word in the writer's room." Tim, I'm curious to know your thoughts on this and the slippery slope of this word.
Solomon, when I read this story, I was thoroughly disgusted by it because this isn't about the N-word at all. I don't know the precise racial dynamic of the situation, but I'm assuming that he was probably perhaps the only African-American voice in the room. And if he is the only African-American voice in the room, then this situation is about white people not wanting to be reminded of the world that they have created. If he is recounting a story of a racist police officer who perhaps used that word in some sort of oppressive abuse of power, and white people in the room don't want to be reminded of that, then it's almost like, how dare they contact Human Resources and tell him that they don't like to hear that word? It's almost as if they are trying to show how not racist they are through their intolerance and outrage over the use of this word, but at the same time, they don't realize that what they're actually doing is exercising a means of social control over Walter Mosley in his creative capacity that is perhaps just as racist as the police officer that Walter Mosley is talking about. So these are the sorts of in and out daily situations in which white people enact a certain sort of social violence on black people that, though not physical, is still very damaging. And I think that's probably what's going on in this situation. It's at its best, it's white paternalism, where white people are telling a black person what to do and how to do because they think it's in his best interest. That's at its best, but at its worst, I think it's a means of social control and social violence that's just as bad, if not worse, than the kinds of violence that we see on video where black people are actually beaten by police officers. So that's my take on this. This is a very disturbing phenomenon. I mean, Walter Mosley is a cultural icon. He occupies a status, certainly in the black community, with his literary skill and acumen. He's really he's a living legend, and to have this happen to him if this can happen to him, I wonder how many other black artists this happens to, who happen to find themselves in situations similar to him. So this is very disturbing.
See, that's interesting because and that's why I wanted to ask you about it, because my take on it, I'm thinking about being at work and using that word. I wouldn't do it. Regardless of the atmosphere I was in, regardless of the racial composition. As I've gotten older, I've become more and more offended by that word. And so I don't want to hear it. And so because I don't want to hear it, I don't necessarily want to say it, even if I'm recounting a story. Like I just, it's disturbing to me because for me it dredges up all of that history around that word. But I think your take is interesting because. And I think you rightly say that also for white people it dredges up all of the history around that word.
And white people have a bad habit of wanting to ignore history and pretend that things did not happen so that we can all, quote unquote, move on. Oh, well, why don't we just move on? Why don't we just move forward? But it doesn't, that's not the way, white people don't get to have it both ways. You don't get to create a world of oppression and then exempt yourself from its consequences. This is what I try to tell people about the work of August Wilson, an African-American playwright. As an actor, one of the things that I've noticed in performing in August Wilson plays is that his scripts are heavily laden with the N-word. But these are black people in black communities addressing one another with this word, which, as you know, is something that black people often do in sort of, very informal colloquial settings. And there might be a lot of the reasons that you're offended by the use of the N-word, I think, are socially and culturally very different from the reasons a white person would be offended by it. And for a white person to say, for example, oh, I don't want to go see an August Wilson play because they sit around and call each other the N-word. Well, no, this is the world that you put people in ghettos. You put people in ghettos and you kept people there. And now you're angry because black people have found a way to reappropriate the use of the term and use it as a term of endearment, sometimes as a term of scorn and derision for sure. And we can, that's a debate that we can have. But I think from an artistic, creative standpoint, and considering the context of Walter Mosley's situation, and when you look at that and you look at other great black legends like August Wilson, who used that word as a means of depicting actual, real social relationships between black people, I think you have to allow for that sort of authentic artistic license. Now, there's some white people who will say, well, I want to use that word artistically too, but to me, that's just a sort of inauthentic way of saying I want to be able to use the N-word and get away with it. That's a very different sort of motive than the artistic, cultural motives that we get from someone like an August Wilson or Walter Mosley.
So should white people not feel uncomfortable when they hear the N-word?
I think they should feel uncomfortable, and I think, Solomon, nothing changes if you're never uncomfortable. If you're never uncomfortable, you can't expect change. I hate these cliches, but it's kind of like someone expecting to have a high level of physical fitness but never wanting to exercise. Or it's like someone wanting to learn to play a musical instrument but never wanting to practice. When I was a child, I can remember watching my father, who was a piano player. I watched his fingers roll so deftly across the keys. It used to bring such joy to hear the music come out of the piano, and I told him that I wanted to learn. But when I sat down, I wanted to play Count Basie's 1 O'Clock Jump like he did. But I couldn't. I had to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And it was painful, and it was frustrating, and it was exhausting, and it was tedious, and I didn't like it, and it was uncomfortable. But that's the only way I was going to get better. So, sure, yes, you should feel uncomfortable as a white person when you hear that word. And every time you hear it, instead of wanting to exercise another means of social control by exempting yourself from the results of the world that you helped create, how about boldly confronting your own racism and admitting, you know what, I've done the wrong thing. White people have done the wrong thing. This makes me uncomfortable. What can I do to make things better? So if you're not uncomfortable, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that N-word, man, I think it's something that we continue to talk about and continue to struggle with. And I appreciate your take on it. I want to talk about something else that came up, and it's kind of on the legal side and deals with race as well. And this deals with couples in Virginia who are suing to stop the state from forcing them to choose a race in order to get a marriage license. What's the history of race and marriage in Virginia, and why does it still matter, Tim?
Well, Solomon, when you study United States constitutional history, one of the things you see is that Virginia has a very long history. I mean, you and I, it's a history that goes back just about as old as we are. About 51, 52 years ago, there were laws in Virginia that prohibited miscegenation, or the intermarriage of black and white people. And in 1967, the Supreme Court decided a case called Loving versus Virginia, in which they said that anti-miscegenation laws were unconstitutional based upon the 14th Amendment. So Virginia, like many other states in the South, has a long history of racist practices as it relates to legal matters and marriage. And so that's the background of this. And if I could just take this a step further,
Sure.
Solomon, there's a recent story in USA Today that came out of a wedding reception venue in Mississippi who refused to rent their reception hall to an interracial couple who wanted to have their wedding reception there. And the person was captured on audio and on video, the owner of the venue, saying that the reason they were turning them down was because of their Christian beliefs in interracial matters. This is in Mississippi in 2019. So when we look at what's going on in Virginia, this is par for the course for the American South, which has a history that has really never been left behind. I mean, it's still very much alive and well, as we've seen with voter suppression and other things in recent years. So I think that's the history there. And I think that what those couples are trying to do is, you try to get past this history. I think sometimes, though, we have to be careful because in our efforts to move beyond oppressive uses of race, we can sort of start to buy into the myth that race does not exist at all, or that there's no such thing, or that it's not valuable enough for us to hold on to. So, in other words, we might be able to say that there is no scientific race gene that makes someone black or white or Asian or whatever, but at the same time, we cannot ignore the social reality of race. Because the minute we cut off race and say it causes too much mischief, we ought to abandon it, what we are effectively doing is creating a world in which people who have been oppressed because of race all of a sudden now have no history of oppression. And that's exactly what a lot of white people want. So the notion of a colorblind world is really a notion of a white world in which white people can be unaccountable for their misdeeds, their historical misdeeds. I think that's what we have to be careful about.
So the thing in Virginia that's kind of and it's like shocking but not shocking to me is that they have all of these categories. As I was reading about this, octoroon, quadroon, like all of these terms that they use around race still in these applications for these marriage licenses.
And Solomon, now those terms really are relics of those terms like octoroon, quadroon, etc. Those terms are relics of 19th century junk science on race, and I think those are the things that we can abandon.
Yeah,
I think we can abandon those things going forward without saying that we have to get rid of race altogether. And so I think you see, I mean, it is sort of weird, right? Because most black people in America, I doubt there's probably any black person in America that has a lineage that doesn't have a white person in it somewhere along the line because of slavery and because of the intermingling of race throughout that process. But I think what people are trying to do is get beyond that history. I think the devil is in the details, though. I think there's a way to get beyond the history and say, you know what, let's do away with the junk science, but let's not forget that despite the lack of scientific foundation of race, there's still the social reality staring us in the face that we have to be attentive to.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, that is Dr. Tim Golden. Dr. Tim Golden, of course, is a lawyer and critical race theorist. He's professor of philosophy, legal studies program coordinator, and director of the Donna Blake Center for the Study of Race, Ethnicity, and Culture at Walla Walla University. For 20 years, he was a criminal defense attorney in Philadelphia and in the federal courts. Tim, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me, Solomon.
All right.
See you next week.
All right. Talk to you next week. So I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Yeah. Couples in Virginia. And that is where the court case actually challenging interracial marriage came out of Virginia. It was called Loving versus Virginia. The couple, their actual last name was Loving. It was a black woman and a white man. They made a movie about the whole thing, and they were castigated because they were an interracial couple, right? And it was illegal for them to be married in Virginia, and they still have in Virginia these terms, and by law you can't get a marriage certificate unless you say what race you are. And it varies from county to county how they label race. For instance, in Arlington, Virginia, right? There are these terms that you have to choose from when choosing race: American Indian, Alaskan Native, African American or Black, Asian, Caucasian, Hispanic or Latino, Pacific Islander or other. That's in Arlington, Virginia. But in Rockbridge County, Virginia, there was a list of, quote, approved races that included Aryan, Octoroon, Quadroon, and Mulatto. Now, my understanding of octoroon, octo means 8, right? So that means that you have 1/8 black blood in terms of your ancestry. Quadroon, quad means 4, right? So my understanding of that is that means that you are 1/4 African American. And mulatto typically means that you have 1 black parent and 1 white parent, right? But these are the terms that they still have on this paperwork. So, I mean, why are they so obsessed with this, right? And I think the couple is right to say, you know what, why do you need to know our race if we're applying for a marriage license? Why is that relevant? Why does it matter to you, right? So I want to know what you think. Give me a call, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. Let's talk to Thelma from New Jersey on line 2. Go ahead, Thelma.
Yes, hi, Solomon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Yes. I just wanted to mention, for tomorrow's event at the courthouse.
Yes.
I don't know if I'll be able to be there, but 1 o'clock does sound like a better time for me because I work night shift. I just think it's important to support your efforts, because this is so important that we follow up on something that
absolutely
is really, not even a Philadelphia story, but it's a national black story for all of us. And you see the people in Hong Kong, they're out there protesting for less than what has been done to us as far as what the policemen have done on Facebook. So, we really have to stand up to this situation and stand up to any negative situation and to confront it, because if not now, then when? And what I'm seeing from the conversations that you're having, online this morning, is that we're really looking at a reverse of integration. And from my perspective, I'm just thinking of just, throwing the towel in and just, concentrate on my own business or my own this, and to have my family to be refocused in doing for themselves, because this racism affects everything that we do, everything. Water that we buy, the places that we go, the places that they don't want us to go to, and it's just everything. And so I think that, we really should try to refocus, not to be a victim of this society. We cannot ignore what's going on, but we can bypass or try to make a change. And down the road, it's going to pay off.
Yep, I hear you, and I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. Again, we're calling on Philadelphians to come to Philadelphia City Hall tomorrow at 1 p.m. There's going to be hearings, the hearings that you demanded when you came to City Council and demanded along with us that there be hearings around these racist Facebook posts by Philadelphia police officers. Well, those hearings are taking place tomorrow. In City Council. We need you there at 1 o'clock tomorrow. We need you there. We need you raising your voice. We need you in the building as this next step in this process takes place. It happened because you raised your voice. We need you to be there as these hearings take place. Again, that's tomorrow at Philadelphia City Council, 4th floor City Hall in Council Chambers, 1 o'clock. We need you there. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue this conversation. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
This hour is brought to you by Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. Visit enontab.org. Enon, a place where people encounter God.
Brothers and sisters!
Don't miss The Source.
Weekdays, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
The stadium is ready. The team is ready. But are you ready for the Eagles' favorite shake? The Shamrock Shake? It's a delicious Philly original that's ready to rock the taste buds of Eagles fans across Philadelphia. Made with creamy vanilla soft serve, mint-flavored deliciousness, and topped with light whipped topping. Fly, don't walk to get yours today. At participating McDonald's for a limited time only.
WordRadio.com.
What up, Philly? It's Solomon Jones from Wake Up with Word. Join me Saturday, September 14th from 11 to 3 for Hope for Philly. We're going to have free food, a job fair, giveaways, gospel ministry, face painting, moon bounces, and more. Come out and join us for Hope for Philly Saturday, September 14th at the Pennypacker School, 1858 East Washington Lane. And it's all brought to you by WURD, the Philadelphia Inquirer, ShopRite, AT&T, Sherelle Parker's office, Believers Bible Fellowship, Great Commission Church, Riverside Community Church, Mount Airy Baptist Church, and more. Hope for Philly, be there. For more information, go to WURDradio.com.
It's Wake Up with Word, hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM, WURD. Our next guest is Lonair Ahmad Lett. He's an MD, PhD student at Perelman in the Department of Biostatics, Epidemiology, and Informatics. He worked on a study about the lack of diversity in the medical field, and he joins us this morning to talk about it. Lonair, good morning.
Good morning, Solomon.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be talking with you on your show today.
Good. I'm glad to have you. So what spurred you to do this study on the lack of diversity in the medical field?
Yeah, I was spurred to do this for a couple of reasons. The first is that there were several studies that came out that seemed to contradict the reality I lived as a medical student that would suggest that we were making modest improvement in diversity. But I recognize the key methodological issue with them is that they didn't look at the population under all of that. They would see, oh, there are 2 or 3% more black people in medicine or in the faculty, or 2 or 3% more Hispanic people. But if you look at our country, those things are dynamic. In the same time span, the Hispanic population has doubled. So if you only have a modest increase, you're not actually representing the change that we're seeing in the country. And so I wanted to kind of put the brakes on this, patting ourselves on the back when we're looking as if we're correcting or the things that we're doing are working when they're really not.
Okay. So how did you go about conducting this study? How'd you go about doing it?
It's actually relatively simple. So I got data from the American Association for Medical Colleges on who was coming into medicine, race and gender and age-wise. And then I got data from the U.S. Census about who our country was, again, by race, age, and gender. And I just compared these approximately 17% Hispanic people in 2002, which increased 21% of a specific age range in the U.S. population, to the relatively small percentage in comparison in the medical school population. I realized we're not keeping pace with the country. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so specifically, what were the numbers that you found, and how did that compare to what was being said was happening in terms of diversity in the medical field?
Yeah, so let's be specific. There was a study that came out that showed essentially a 2% increase in black faculty or underrepresented faculty. But at the same time, with the country changing, you still see that black males are 70% underrepresented in medicine even today, and that's about the same as they were in 2002. Black women are 40% underrepresented today as they were in today, which is about the same as it was back in 2002. So in the last 15, 20 years, where we had this concerted effort to improve diversity, we actually haven't made any progress. Mm-hmm. So those are some of those numbers.
Mm-hmm. So, given that you have found these numbers, what did you find? Did you find any reason for the lack of diversity? Is it something that's new, or is it just a pattern that has been happening from the very beginning?
So the biggest bump that we experienced in improvement of diversity in medicine happened way back in the 80s, and that was really because HBCUs, Morehouse, Meharry, and Howard took ownership of that and started putting out more black doctors.
Okay.
So it's an old trend of lack of diversity, but in a context where there's a lot of buzzwords being used by medical professionals saying that we think this is important, this is something we're trying to do. There's evidence that a more diverse workforce makes better care, but the buzzwords to me weren't leading to meaningful change.
Right,
so I think the context we're in suggests people are having to have good intentions, but the data doesn't bear that those intentions are working out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and so you talked about HBCUs as one of the sources of black doctors, and other medical professionals coming into the field. What other means can be used in order to improve diversity for real and not just have it be based on these buzzwords? We're trying to do it. We want more diversity, etc. What real methods can be used in order to improve the outcomes?
I think people have to put their money where their mouth is. I think there are some schools that are really good about having true, honest pipelines. Pipelines meaning that they reach out to their often impoverished and poor communities around them that have a lot of black people, that have a lot of Latino people. They foster mentorship relationships, and then you see that down the line when they come to their medical school. And I think part of it is that you have to take the analysis that we did on a national level and apply it at specific institutions to see who is actually carrying that burden, who is doing that work, and then also apply it to those other places to hold them accountable for not doing that work.
Mm-hmm. And so you looked at blacks, you looked at Hispanics, you looked at other groups. How did black people in particular fare?
So black people are essentially, there was other studies as well, but black men are underrepresented greater now in 2017 than they were in 1990. So, and in my specific study, I showed that was true for 2017 and 2002. I was referencing another study with the 1990 data. So, and with black women are doing better in the sense that their representation is in the 40% range, but they still haven't made a meaningful increase since 2002. And I don't want to leave out Latino people, Latinx people, and I also don't want to leave out gender minorities like transgender people and gender non-binary people who the limitations of our study didn't even allow us to address the diversity or lack thereof for those populations.
So when you looked at black people, did you look at African Americans versus immigrants, Africans, Jamaicans, other people from the islands, etc., or did you just look at blacks as just one complete group?
Unfortunately, we looked at blacks as one complete group, but I do have a comment on that if you'd like to hear it.
Sure.
I think that a lot of the diversity and inclusion, this is a bit of a controversial opinion that only I could take ownership of, not the rest of my co-authors. But I think that a lot of the diversity and improvement in black underrepresentation does not necessarily come from descendants of black American slaves. While I think there is important contributions that can be made by our immigrant siblings, I do think that there's a unique context to the people who come from the systemic oppression that is faced by descendants of black American slaves and who have inherited that from history. And I think that we're not doing nearly enough to represent those people. And when you think about what representation means, and it means you have a voice at the table, and when it means you get to inform policy that actually leads to improved health disparities, I think it's critical we do better.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I want to thank you so much for this study and for looking at this because I think part of what happens with us, with our health outcomes, it kind of depends on who is treating us and their attitude towards us.
That's most certainly, and there's evidence for that.
And so we need more doctors of color, more diversity in the medical field so that we can have better treatment outcomes.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you so much for joining us and for your study on this very important topic. That's Lanier Ahmad-Lett, an MD, PhD student at Perelman in the Department of Biostatics, Epidemiology, and Informatics. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on WRD.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So I want to hear from you. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That is the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD Radio. We're talking about a number of things on today's show, including the underrepresentation of black folks and other people of color in the medical field. Give us a call. Let us know about where you are on that. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. That's the number you can call to get in on the conversation right here at WURD. And just weigh in on that. We're going to check out what people are saying on Facebook as well. You can weigh in there on onWURD. Let's go to Gwen from West Philly on line 2. Go ahead, Gwen.
Yeah, good morning, Solomon.
Good morning.
Good morning, Word family. I've been listening, and I said, I heard about these names, quadroon, mulatto, and all this kind of nonsense, And my thing is, I'm saying black, period. Do you know what I mean? And all this foolishness, we should not let them be able to say who we are. We know who we are. That's foolishness. And I knew that a lot of things like that went down. But I don't want to hear any of us calling those crazy names. And the other piece is that I just got off the phone changing my doctor's appointment because I'm going to be there tomorrow.
Okay. All right.
At 12 o'clock, I'm not going to be late. I'm not going to think about the L breaking down, none of that. I'm going to be there. And, Solomon, we cannot thank you enough.
Oh, you're welcome.
About how much you care. And we cannot thank you enough about bringing up the hard topics and standing firm. and we're going to keep you in constant prayer.
Please do.
Plus, I'm going to pray, and I don't do much fasting, but I'm going to fast tomorrow because I want to be, I want to be on point.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much.
I don't want to say nothing that shouldn't be said. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
But
this kind only comes out with prayer and fasting. I understand. So I want to thank you so much for that. But yeah, any movement we start, man, we need to start it with prayer, and move on faith, because faith should make you bold. So I appreciate your call this morning on WRD, and I appreciate you committing to being there tomorrow. Again, this hearing is the next step in our step-by-step process about getting real change when it comes to the issue of policing. We are going to be meeting with the mayor. In fact, that is going to be happening today, and we'll keep you posted on that. And then tomorrow, those city council hearings are going to take place tomorrow. The hearings that you came and demanded when we called you to come to city council, you came out in numbers and demanded that those hearings take place. So those hearings are actually tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and we need y'all there. We don't want it to be empty in there. We don't want it to be just a few people in there. City council actually doesn't really reconvene until Thursday, but tomorrow those hearings are taking place, and we want our people there. So that's 1 o'clock tomorrow. Those hearings are taking place at City Council. It's a result of you standing up and saying, no, we're not going to take this. We're not going to have this. This is not going to be normal. And so because you are the ones who demanded those hearings, we need you in place, right? We need you on your post tomorrow at 1 o'clock at City Council chambers, right there in City Hall on the 4th floor at 1 p.m. That's when those hearings are taking place, and we need you there. So that's tomorrow, 1 p.m. at City Council, in City Council chambers, as we talk about this issue of these racist Facebook posts by police officers, over 300 of them right here in the city of Philadelphia. Of course, people are weighing in on Facebook, Kawesa, and you can, of course, do that at onWURD. That's FORWURD. And we want to hear from you. So if you want to weigh in, you can weigh in right there. We want to hear what those comments are. What are they saying on Facebook, Kawesa?
Linda Pierce, in reference to Donald Trump speaking at the HBCU conference, says, I have a problem with him speaking, period. So that's one comment. Gloria Gainey on the N-word. No, the N-word is never acceptable in the work environment. Elizabeth Lee says the N-word needs to be retired by all. Then also we have a couple of others, but Agbona Hagans says too much time wasted on one word when we have so many other issues. You can explain all you want. Words are words. Words evolve. Bad means good and bad. So those are just some of the comments that we're getting here. Diane Fassett says everyone should feel uncomfortable when another human being is being called names. That's just common sense, but the N-word is a word that goes to a whole new level. To downplay the history connected with that word is really beyond uncomfortable. Same with the Holocaust. Can't downplay that either. The Jews were called all kinds of names and depicted horribly. So those are just some of the comments that we've gotten on Facebook.
All right. So those are some of those Facebook comments. We are going to go to break in just a minute. But if you want to weigh in, again, it's 215-634-8065. So much going on this week. We are going to be meeting with the mayor today around those racist Facebook posts, following up on our original meeting, and also around some of the things that have happened with this interim police commissioner, around what is happening with the appointment of a new police commissioner. Yeah, we got some things that need to be said, some things that need to be hashed out. So that is happening today. And then tomorrow, City Council is holding hearings on those racist Facebook posts. That is happening tomorrow at 1 p.m. And you know what? I'm calling the people to come out. We need y'all there. Those hearings are happening because you raised your voice, because you said, no, we're not going to take it anymore, because you came in numbers when we called you out the first time. And so we need you there as these hearings are taking place tomorrow at 1 p.m. at Philadelphia City Hall. Write it down. We need you there in City Council chambers. This is happening tomorrow, and we want you there. We're going to go to break. On the other side, we're going to continue our conversation right here at WURD. I'm Solomon Jones. We'll be right back.
Brothers and sisters!
Don't miss The Source
Weekdays 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
on Word Radio.
WordRadio.com and the Word Radio app.
My mother was always very active and independent, and she was familiar with her neighborhood. But one day, she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual. She wasn't even really sure where she was at.
It's important for you to talk to someone about it. I felt so much better after my son told me, Mom, we'll figure it out.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Support independent black media and join the Forward movement now at 215-425-7875.
Or visit WordRadio.com.
You're waking up
with Word.
Hosted by Solomon Jones.
Good morning.
Right now on Word Radio.
96.1 FM.
And 900 AM WURD.
Good morning. This is Solomon Jones on 900 AM and 96.1 FM WURD, and I want to welcome you back to Wake Up with Word. Give us a call at 215-634-8065. Whole lot going on this week. Today we're going to be meeting with the mayor as a follow-up to our first meeting with him about the racist Facebook cops. Of course, a lot has happened since then, and we are also going to be talking about what's happening with the new police commissioner and the process for picking a permanent police commissioner, and so stay tuned about that. But also tomorrow we need you there at City Council as a hearing takes place at City Council at 1 p.m. Around the issue of the racist Facebook posts by police officers, over 300 of them here in the city of Philadelphia. Those hearings take place at City Council chambers tomorrow at 1 p.m. And you know what? We need the people there. And it occurred to me during this show, like, wait a minute, did we invite the people to come? No, we need you there. At City Council tomorrow at 1 p.m. We need you there. We need you raising your voice. These hearings are happening because you raised your voice, because you said we're not going to take it anymore, because you said, no, this is not acceptable. And so we need you there. We need the people there tomorrow raising their voice during these hearings that are taking place at Philadelphia City Council. We don't want an empty room tomorrow. We want you there during these hearings. These hearings are taking place at 1 o'clock, and so we're going to be pushing that all day long today to make sure that our people are there tomorrow and raising your voice while we have these hearings around the issue of these racist Facebook posts by the police. The council hearings are taking place because you spoke up, and so we need you there. That's 1 o'clock tomorrow at Philadelphia City Council, at Council Chambers. That's the 4th floor City Hall. And of course, on Saturday, we are doing something that we do every year with my church and with Word and other entities that step in and help. We're doing Hope for Philly. That's taking place this Saturday, September 14th at the Pennypacker School. That's from 11 to 3. And so we're going to be out in the community, out and about all week, handling business for our people. At Hope for Philly, there's going to be jobs, social services, free food, giveaways, like all kind of stuff is happening there. So we want you there as well. It's going to be a full week, Kawesa, I think, for all of us. But we want to hear from the people. So give us a call at 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. When we talk about this city council hearing that's happening tomorrow, Kawesa, I think one of the things we tend to do is that we do the first part, but then we don't necessarily do the follow-up. And folks are waiting for that. They waiting for us not to follow up, waiting for us not to do that second part, waiting for us not to come back, waiting for us to scream and holler and then go away. right? And a lot of us, I think, it's not that we don't want to follow up. Sometimes we just don't know that we should follow up. We don't know that, no, that should not be the end. We don't know that it's a step-by-step process. But for this, we need our people in the building.
Yeah, no, I think that you're absolutely right. And, it's important for folks to come out, and it's important to show that support. But it also speaks to, I think, the bigger piece in regards to how we should move, how we should protest, how we need to be reacting in this type of space and in this type of situation. So, of course, you're going to, raise the alarm and tell them that they're wrong. But then what do we have to do after that to make sure that this does not continue to keep happening? So that's why it's important.
It is critically important. And again, you have to take advantage of what you have. And so city council, I don't know if y'all realize that they work for us. They do. They work for us. The mayor, he works for us. The police commissioner, every police officer, they work for us. They're paid with our tax dollars. And so, A, we have the right to stand up. B, we have the power to stand up. And if we organize and stand up together and speak with one voice, we can actually get some stuff done. Right. But it is about more than just, okay, I know I want to go out and protest. Well, you got to use that strategically. Right. A lot of the change, a lot of the permanent change happens behind the scenes. A lot of the permanent structural changes happen with actually, okay, we've protested. Now we're going to sit down. We're going to talk about it. These are the things we want. These are the things that we're going to give you. These are the things that we're going to follow up with. These are the people that we're going to talk with. These are our allies in this process. We're going to use protests. We're going to use political pressure. We're going to use coalitions. We're going to use everything that we can in order to get what we want. See, that's how we got to move. And you're right, Kawisa, it's about how you move. Because people expecting us to just scream and holler and go away. They waiting for that. That's what they want. Go ahead, scream and holler and go away. Matter of fact, I might call the cops on you for doing that, right? But they don't expect that we are first going to protest. We are going to have some specific demands. We are going to get those demands met. And then we are going to follow up with you around those demands. And not just you, but we're going to follow up with city council, the people who hold the purse strings and who approve the budget, to make sure that if we don't get what we want, guess what? The budget don't get approved. Like that's how we rolling now, man. That's how we rolling, right? And so what we need from you, what we need from the people, is we need you to be there, because you represent the power in this. You represent the votes. You represent the taxpayer. You represent the money. You represent the people. And so we need you there. Right? When we do stuff like this, this is about everybody taking their place, everybody getting in position, everybody doing what needs to be done in order to get a result. Because, we spend a lot of time talking about, I just want to bring attention to it. Well, okay, what else? Because we already know there's racism. We already know there's wrongdoing. We already know there's police abuse. So we don't really need to bring attention to it. We need to be doing something about it. And so we have laid the groundwork. We have gone out to the community. We have had a community forum. We probably will be doing that again, right? We have gone to the mayor. We'll be going back to the mayor today. We have gone to city council, demanded these hearings. They are happening tomorrow. Your part, your role is to be there in the building. So that's happening tomorrow at 1 o'clock at city council chambers. We need you there. All right. I want to hear from you. 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. I'm excited about my people, man. I'm excited about the fact that that we can actually come together and move in an organized way. I'm excited about that. Right? I'm excited about the fact that we can call to the people and the people will come. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the fact that we are learning how to move in a structured way so we can get some stuff actually done. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about y'all, man. 215-634-8065. Let's talk to Donald from Lawndale on line 1. Go ahead, Donald.
Yes, Solomon, I'm a long-time supporter. I want to be there tomorrow. I will have to go to a food pantry first on Carfair Health, first at Fifth and Godfrey, and then I can ride down there on Scepter. I want to know, will I be allowed in that there courtroom with my four-wheel cart that's going to have food for me in there, since I'm alone. I live alone and all. But
I don't see why not.
revolutionary. All right. Okay. And I do understand that Commissioner Ross had resigned. And I read in the papers and saw a picture of a Caucasian lady that's the now present acting commissioner
That's
of
right.
the police force.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what's happening.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Donald. We'll see you tomorrow, man, at 1 o'clock at City Council Chambers, 4th floor, City Hall. Let's go to Ruby from Kensington online, too. Go ahead, Ruby.
Yes, Solomon. What side of City Hall is for handicapped? Because I'll be coming in a power wheelchair.
I think you can come up on that northeast side of City Hall because there's a ramp there for the handicapped to come into City Hall that way. So that's the entrance, the northeast side, because you got to go in, give them your ID, etc.
Okay.
Okay.
And the other thing is I want to talk about Trump.
Go ahead.
Are the HBCUs private or are they public?
Some of them are private and some of them are public.
So how much money does Trump claim he's giving them?
What did he talk about? There was a number on this rundown. We don't know actually how much is coming from Trump, and we don't know how much was already budgeted. But it looks like they're talking about $35 million as an increase in the Strengthening Historically Black Colleges and Universities program, a $9 million increase in the Strengthening Historically Black Graduate Institutions, and a $1 million increase in the Strengthening HBCU Master's programs. But again, I don't know how much of that was already budgeted and how much is going to be because of Trump. So we don't know. Yeah.
Because he don't tell the truth.
No, he don't.
But if he's giving them a certain amount of money, more than what they could use or need, but I think they should be there to hear what he has to say anyway.
We'll see.
I mean, I'm against him really speaking, period, because he's very dishonest.
Yeah, he is.
Can't say, you know.
I hear you. We got to move on because we only got a couple minutes left, but I want to thank you so much for your call this morning on WRD. We're going to try to run through these calls very quickly. Abdul-Jabbar from West Philly is on line 3. Go ahead, Abdul-Jabbar.
Good morning, brother. Thank you for leading the charge.
Yes, sir.
I'll be there tomorrow, and I appreciate your efforts as usual.
Thank you,
I
man.
just hope that the rest of the listeners understand we need to be in that courtroom for this hearing.
Yep.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, man. We appreciate it, Abdul-Jabbar. And again, we're going to be in council chambers on the 4th floor at Philadelphia City Hall. That is taking place tomorrow at 1 p.m. It's the hearings around the racist Facebook cop posts. And this is the follow-up. Right? This is the part where a lot of us, we kind of fall off, but we need you there at the follow-up. It was great to see you at the protest. It was great to see you when we came to City Council and demanded these hearings. Well, tomorrow, the hearings are taking place. We need you in the building. That's 1 o'clock tomorrow at Philadelphia City Council. These hearings around these racist Facebook posts by police officers here in the city of Philadelphia. Zaire from West Oak Lane is on line 4. Go ahead, Zaire.
Good morning, Solomon.
Good morning, brother.
Well, so far as tomorrow, I plan on being there. I was
Good.
the other one. I plan on being there tomorrow. So far as HBCUs, Trump is on the publicity stunt, but you can't fault some of these HBCU leaders because they're trying to get money. If we support HBCUs like we support Popeye's chicken, they wouldn't have to beg for
How about that?
to come out there. That's all I'm saying about that, Solomon.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much. That's keeping it real. Let's go to RC from Southwest on line 1. Go ahead, RC.
Hi. I heard your interview with Dr. Tim Golden.
Yes.
And I copied his quote down word for word. He said that the octoroons and the mulattoes and the quadroons were the result of, quote, the intermingling of race throughout that process, end quote. I think when you're talking about history, you have to be very precise. That resulted from the rape of black women by white men. As a matter of fact, Reverend H. Madison in 1861 had a book published about an octoroon, and her name was Louisa Paquette. And he said that in the slave states alone, there were over 300,000 mulattoes. He didn't mention the octoroons and the quadroons. So we need to be precise when we're talking about history. This was through the rape and abuse of black women by white men.
Okay. I want to thank you, RC, for your call this morning on WURD Radio. We appreciate it. And, again, I want to call out to the people, and I just need y'all to hear this. I need y'all there for the follow-up, right? So we're going to be pushing this all day long today. We're going to be pushing it also tomorrow. But we need y'all there for the follow-up, right? We came out, we protested, we got some things done as a result of that protest and some follow-up meetings. We then called the community together to have a community forum around this issue. But tomorrow, City Council, as a result of you standing up and saying that we need City Council to address these racist Facebook posts by police officers, well, they addressed it. And they said they're going to have these hearings, and the hearings are taking place tomorrow at 1 p.m. We need our people in the building, man. We need to be there for the follow-up, right? We need to be there for the follow-through. And we need people to understand that, no, we're serious about this. This is not a game. This is not a joke. This is not us just talking. This is not us just hollering and screaming. No, this is us saying that we are not going to stop until we get what we want. This is us displaying our power. And so my challenge to you is to be powerful tomorrow. My challenge to you is to show up tomorrow. My challenge to you is to stand united tomorrow. Be on your posts tomorrow as we go to City Council at 1 o'clock for this hearing that you called for. The people called for this, right? The people said, we want a hearing. Okay, City Council said, okay, we see you, we hear you, we're going to do it. Now I need you there. So we're going to be there tomorrow at 1 p.m. at Philadelphia City Council chambers at 4 p.m. in Philadelphia City Hall. We need you on your post. That's going to do it for us today right here on Wake Up with Word. I want to thank everybody who joined us on the show, including all of our guests, lawyer and critical race theorist Dr. Tim Golden, Jermaine Rowley, Ian Round, and Jasmine Connor of the University of Maryland, and medical researcher Lanier Ahmad Net. And now, for super producer Kawesa Mathis, I am your host Solomon Jones, saying tune in tomorrow at 7 for more Wake Up with Word. Peace.
This hour was brought to you by Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church. Visit enontab.org. Enon, a place where people encounter God. EcoWord, Wednesdays on Reality Check with Charles Ellison.
4 p.m. till 7 p.m.
Right here on Word Radio.
And WordRadio.com.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security.